Twitch has been having this problem lately, and I think you saw it when I was doing the Fallout thing, where like it'll just stream, but it'll just stream to like the ingest server, but like Twitch, the site itself, won't like spit it back out for people.
Oh right,
So it was
that
just
whole thing you missed, that we missed.
so it's just like, yeah, zero drop frames, like we're running fine, but nope, nothing's coming out anymore.
Great.
That was a good time.
Sounds like just the time to like expand the number of things you let stream on your website. Introduce a whole creative thing, because we got our shit under control, right? Right?
Oh,
Right?
I almost called him Bob Vila, which is a different type of artist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Bob Ross stuff.
Yeah. If they want to bring back Justin TV, just bring back Justin TV. I don't get it.
I would actually love it if they did, because like there is a lot of really great content that people can do online and like show to people. Mm-hmm. I don't think a game website has a place for that stuff just at all. Especially when they were so adamant for the first couple of years of them being around that like if you're streaming something that isn't game related, you're just fucking banned.
Yep.
Like I don't know. I remember a speedrunner who does the Mega Man games, Caleb Hart.
Mm-hmm.
He like did a stream where he was just like doing perler art, and like his channel got like kicked out or something, or shut down.
Great.
And it's like, what are you doing? And it was like perler art, at least of video game stuff, so there's something there, and now you can have Bob Ross just fucking chilling out every Monday, or whatever the hell they're doing, because whatever, we don't have standards anymore.
Nope.
I don't know.
I don't get it.
I'm just mad about the hypocrisy, not about the fact that there's non-game content on the site. I love that there's non-game content on the site. I just hate that for like 2 or 3 years, if they caught you doing it, you would just be like executed, essentially.
I mean, the really weird thing is like the stuff they're still adamant do not stream.
Yeah.
Like there's like stuff in their contract, like their user info, like don't stream like setting up furniture if it's not game related.
Yeah.
Like things that aren't creative or something. I guess you're still not supposed to stream on Twitch.
They're obviously trying to still figure out where they fit in the internet landscape, because they are the biggest streaming site, so you can't just kind of limit that to only video games. Otherwise, you're losing a huge population of people.
Yeah, you are, but you got to be the biggest because people
because
like
you focused
video
on
games.
because
like,
you focused on a thing. Yeah.
Like they were a thing that was any. They had Justin TV. It existed. It's not like this is a new idea. Oh.
Actually, Twitch is the new idea. Justin TV was around for before that.
Yes, Justin TV was pre-Twitch.
I like Justin TV. It was okay. The layout of it was fucking terrible, but I mean, every site was at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what the hell was the other movie I told you I watched for Halloween? What were the movies we watched on Halloween? Follows and...
Was it Wendigo?
It wasn't Wendigo, no. Oh, right, I saw Pixels. I can put that on here. We can talk about Pixels. Pixels is actually the scariest movie I've ever seen.
Well, it is a Happy Madison movie.
Maybe I tweeted what
Pretty
movie
terrifying.
We watched.
Alright, I wanted to actually have those screenshots of Yokai Watch I tweeted out. I want to have those pulled up so I can remember to reference all the important things.
God, Halloween seems like years ago now. Can we talk about Battleborn yet, or no? Are we ever going to be able to talk about Battleborn? There wasn't a date on that NDA. I think it just said, do not talk about the technical alpha.
Yeah, it said like never talk about the technical alpha. I don't know. IGN put out a video of gameplay of that whole like uh sort of dungeony thing we did.
That we
We
did?
face a boss at the end.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's out there. But I
Yeah,
don't know if we could talk
but
about how game feel or anything.
I don't think we're
Or,
able to.
or even the matchmaking, which was good. I can't talk about that either.
I mean, the matchmaking is like literally the only thing I'd say that's good about it, and I think I've already broken the NDA by saying that.
Yeah, pretty much.
I guess I just don't know where that game that they made is supposed to fit, because it's not a first-person shooter, like, really. I mean, it's a first-person shooter just from, like, how it plays your field of view and stuff like that. But, and it's not really like a full MOBA either. It's kind of like this half measure in both, where both genres already have, like, things that people are invested in for each side.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to ask somebody to say, like, hey, you know how there's like 1,000 MOBAs? Well, here's another one. And
Well,
it's
I mean,
not very
yeah.
good.
They're not the only company to do that. Fucking Call of Duty is trying that.
Oh, no, I know.
Fortnite, I guess, is trying to do that, I think.
Oh,
I
yeah,
know.
Fortnite. Holy shit.
Yeah.
There's something I don't care about, like, at all. Wow. See, I think that's why I kind of like what they're doing with Overwatch. Because they're not like, it's a MOBA. They're like, it is Team Fortress.
Mm-hmm.
This game that's been done, like, once before in a big scale, we'll do it a second time.
Pretty much. Yeah. It's weird.
It's mind-blowing.
Big companies don't know what to do with the fact that MOBAs are popular. They don't know what to do.
The
They
thing
like want that money, but they have no idea.
The thing is, you don't do anything with it. You
That's
try to
the
maybe
answer.
partner up with, like, Valve or Riot or something so you can get a skin or a voice pack or something in there, and then you, like, live off the royalties from that forever. You don't try to make your own because you are going to fucking fail.
Yeah, because that audience doesn't need another game. Like, really. They just don't need more.
Like, okay, for the classic style MOBAs, you have Dota 2 and League of Legends, right? Like, let's just cap it off at that. There's a whole bunch of other ones. Those are the ones you're playing, though, if you're into that genre. For the kind of, like, twist on the formula would be Smite.
Yeah.
And Smite is, like, the only one that really is worth talking about that does that way. And then on top of that is Heroes of the Storm, which is kind of, like, almost less a MOBA than it is just, like, some weird sandbox game that you play in lanes with your friends. Like, you just kind of... It's more about actual battling and less about strategery or something, if that makes sense. It's less about push and pull and more about just, like, who can push the other one the hardest quicker.
I mean, it's the one where, like, the maps... It's all about weird, gimmicky map bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, in a
it's
way that
objective
those
based.
games are never about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that, like, Sins of a Dark Age, for example, they tried to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And I don't know that they necessarily succeeded at any of it. But, like, it was all fine.
Yeah.
But in this war, if you're not the best, you lost, right? Like, if you
Yeah.
can't come up and just say, like, we're taking League of Legends down and then start doing it, you lost.
Well, because especially those games are so... They have such a barrier to entry. You have to know so much to really be have any idea what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, in Sins of a Dark Age added on extra stuff. It's... Like,
Not
if your
more
game-
so than Heroes of the Storm, though. They just made it too convoluted and complicated, where Heroes of the Storm is stand here for 5 seconds.
Yeah. I mean, it was more complicated than Heroes of the Storm, but
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's just like Heroes of the Storm succeeds by being arcadey and like simple to understand up front.
Yep.
Because like the strength, it's the fighting game thing. Like for a game to succeed, it has to be technically good enough for the hardcore players to like it. But if you make games targeting that market, you're never going to get new people because people have the games they like, and they're not going to like try your thing out, and casual players are going to find your thing impenetrable, or just not have the time to spend getting good at it to be able to play online competitively.
Where do you think Secret Ponchos fits into all of this? Because it seems like they have a different enough gimmick, different enough way it plays than anything else, that if you count it as like a MOBA or whatever, like an action-paced MOBA or fighting game or whatever, it kind of can bridge the gap. I think the biggest problem is that people aren't playing it, though. Because people already have their Dotas. They already, like, that's the thing, is that
Yeah, I mean,
you're asking people to leave a game they've been playing for, like, 500 to 3,000 hours for this new thing.
I think also Secret Ponchos just, they got bad. They had some buggy releases, and it got bad word of mouth, which
On
kept
console.
people away. Yeah, the console stuff. And then, so then that, like, makes people not willing to check it out, and then the few that do encounter a problem of no one playing it, and then you're dead in the water. Like, you need that, you need to come out of the gate and get a community that is there enough that people who might want to try it are finding players, I guess.
So maybe, like, the way you market that whole sort of thing is instead of doing it the way, say, any other, say, like Super Meat Boy would do it or something, like another indie game developer company, instead of, like, giving it to a copy to Kotaku, to Giant Bomb, to IGN, to, like, review, and to some YouTubers and stuff, maybe what you do is just, like, go on Reddit and say, hey, I'm trying this thing out, like, who wants a copy? Start building, like, a community, work on it through, like, what people suggest and what you think could work and stuff, and then you release it, because you already have a ground base of people playing it.
Yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, so many online games now, the way they work is, like, they're free before they come out. Like, people have played them and know what they're getting into.
And people are accepting, well, I mean, the PC crowd and Xbox it will come to follow, but people accept early access as a thing now.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, I could play this and it'll probably be garbage, but
I don't know. There's the problem with early access is, like, if your word of mouth and impressions get bad in early access, that stigma can carry with you, I think. I don't know. I feel like the big threat of early access is people releasing their games before they're ready, whereas you need your game to be, like, good, but not, like, content complete. Like the way Curse of the Necrodancer did it.
Yeah.
Where it, like, played really good. It just didn't have as much, like, there wasn't enough. It wasn't full yet, where they built it out later. But at least, like, it had the hook already installed. You have to still have the hook that will get people like, oh, this is a thing I should care about when it finally comes out or whatever.
Speaking of things you should care about, welcome back to the Burning Barrel podcast.
Hooray!
Yeah, that was a long-winded intro topic, but, like, it honestly started with, like, what should I add anything else to this list before we start? Hey, can we talk about Battleborn yet? And then inadvertently broke an NDA, probably. We didn't talk about it. No. I was just saying my problem with it is I don't know what it's trying to be or where it wants to stand in this market. That's
and
already closed.
I know that before I played it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, anytime somebody says, like, we're releasing a, like, team-based multi-online battle arena, multiplayer online battle arena game or whatever, I'm just like, what are you trying to do? Like, automatically, because it's like, I already have 3 games I could go back to if I wanted to. Like, what what are you doing differently that makes me care?
Yeah.
And the answer is always nothing new.
Yeah.
So
Like, even if those games are good, the amount of like emotional effort you have to put in, like the work you have to put in as a player to get stuff
mhm.
out of them is high. Like Dota takes like 100 hours before you really know what you're doing at all.
Dota had a big step up though, where you can like form little community groups and lobbies.
No, the thing Dota 2 did right was all the stuff around the game, because they didn't really have to do anything with the game. They were just recreating a mod. Like, they
Yeah,
were very faithful to the mod, and they did everything right around that mod.
but I mean, like the thing that got me playing Dota was I like these like I like some guys in the Giant Bomb community. There's a
Yeah,
Giant Bomb like lobby group.
yeah, for
I'll
sure. That
just
was what did
join
it.
that, and I consistently have some like-minded, decent people that I can play with at any time of the day, because it's like if you're up late for whatever reason, you have people from the EU and outwards. If you're up at normal times, you have people all over like the Americas and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I don't get why every game doesn't have that. I guess it seems simple enough to do.
Yeah,
Maybe it's not.
it's probably a lot of work. It's probably a lot of infrastructure.
I guess like Valve does have the, hand up on owning the platform that it's on as
Yeah.
well. Like I bet it would be way worse if they were building like Dota 2 for Origin or something. Whereas like Dawngate would have probably been great on Origin because it would have integrated stuff.
This is why Ubisoft should never make a MOBA. Ever. Ever.
This is why Steam should just like partner up with Google and take over the internet.
They're, they're not that big. I mean,
Who,
League of
Steam?
Legends. Yeah, League of Legends is still basically bigger than Steam, right?
For one game, Steam is a storefront for video gaming on PC.
Yeah, but you look at like the number of people playing League of Legends compared to all the users on Steam.
I don't think that's true because Steam is free. So
Yeah,
like,
but
and League of
still.
Legends is free. I think the like drop off is like people won't use a free product if they're not playing it or doing something with their friends, and they can't do something with their friends if their friends are buying games and they're not.
I think because of the worldwide audience, I think that's the big thing with League, the international audience.
Also, like cartoons, cartoony characters. People love cartoony characters. It's what made Warcraft like so lovable, kind of, and
Yeah.
terrifying at the same time.
And like the ability for those games, cartoony graphics work when your computer's shit.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're way better for like internet fidelity and bandwidth and stuff like that for servers.
I mean, what from everything I've heard is League of Legends is much better optimized than like any big game out there, including Dota right now.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. They're also dirty, and they force you to buy heroes you want to play, or wait for them. Dota just gives you everything,
Dota just gives you everything.
and that's the way every game should be, because they still make money on it somehow.
No, I know. Whenever you
Anyway,
look- yeah, yeah. I've played a lot of Dota. I haven't played it in a while.
yeah,
But-
me neither.
Yeah.
The next thing I'm gonna go back to is heroes. I'm not like I think Dota is gone for me. It's been so long. That game is completely different. I don't even know where I'd start again in that game.
I mean, I'm definitely gonna go back and check out custom maps at some point when I'm in the mood. But
I want to try that like TD Gem or whatever, the tower defense game.
I'm sure there are gonna be a bunch of good TDs whenever that thing is fully filled out.
Yeah.
I'm just sort of waiting right now. There's no hurry in that.
What do you think about card games though?
I mean, I've fallen as deep as you can fall into card games before. It's happened.
So Magic the
Yeah.
Gathering.
I have a closet. There are a lot of cards in this behind this door. There are a lot of cards behind that
Oh, is
door.
that a closet?
Yeah, that's a closet.
I
There are
was
there are
I always
comic
thought that
books.
was a door to like the hallway, and how
That's
creepy it
over
would
there.
be if somebody was just like
It
opening
would
it
be
slowly.
really creepy if someone came out of that door because it's a closet.
Like it would be actually creepier, but
Yes,
like it would be way less likely.
it should be a zero. Yeah, no one
It
should
should
come
be
out of that door.
0%. Yeah. Whereas like if that was the doorway to your hallway, there would be maybe a 50% chance.
There would be a chance. It could happen,
Yeah.
but no, that's a closet.
What
It
I'm
has
getting at is
comic books and Magic the Gathering cards in it.
we I
And other
mean,
stuff.
we played a card game thing.
Yeah, card game thing happened. Finally transition.
Yeah. That game is Hearthstone.
Plus a tactics game.
Yeah, the game we're talking about is Duelyst. That's Duelyst.
That Y is very important for its searchability.
Yeah, I didn't actually think about that, but you're right. That's the smartest move I've ever seen.
You need if you can having a name that people can say easily, but that's a made up word so people can search for it easily is actually what you need to
That's
do with a video game name.
that is actually brilliant because you're right, and not only that, it's kind of a neat little play on like catalyst or something with dual, a portmanteau, if you will.
Portmanteau.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, Duelist, yeah, it is basically a card collecting, like digital card collecting game. And the way you battle is when you play a card, it spawns a minion or has an effect of some sort, and those minions, unlike Hearthstone where it's kind of on a flat board, they are on a 3D plane sort of thing. I would say like 2.5D because it's not like full 3D or anything.
Yeah, they're pixely graphics. Not
Yeah.
like retro pixely, but just like pixely.
Yeah. And it becomes a tactics game. So the card game part is you strategically placing down what you want or like what abilities you want to use or utilize. And then it turns into a tactics game immediately after as to how you want to move these things or like utilize these units that you played to do certain things.
Yeah, it's like a whole extra level of complexity added on, basically.
But they synergize really well, apparently, and it makes you wonder why this hasn't been done before now.
I know. It's so
This is something
like-
Blizzard would have done, honestly, if they had thought
no,
about it.
this was like what I was thinking. It was like someone at Blizzard playing this game is like, "Yo, we gotta make this. We gotta put a mode into Hearthstone that is this thing. Why haven't we done this?"
Why haven't they done this?
That's a good question.
Honestly, okay, this is what I've honestly always thought the problem with Blizzard has been, is that they have their team so focused on doing like one thing, they just can't think outside that box anymore. It's just like they have people dedicated to board meetings and like weekly get-togethers and probably drinking parties where all they do is like play video games and think. They have like a think tank. But like out of that, everybody just is like, okay, you're doing this part on this game for like the next 3 months until it's perfect. They can't think about like what their next big game should be. I'm sure they pay people to literally think about what their next big game should be. But then it makes you wonder, why haven't those people thought of this?
Well, I mean, why didn't anybody thought about this? There've been tons. I mean, there's a Yu-Gi-Oh thing that was sort of similar,
Yeah.
but that was like dungeon dice monsters, which involved dice, but it at least had the monsters on like a physical board that they traveled on. Like that at least was a thing that happened in that TV show, and I think there were video games. But that thing was bad. But it's really nice to see someone get it really right. Because this is the tactics game here is tight. It's like a simple board. There's the smart positioning of like there's extra mana just to get you engaged in the battle. with like their 3 points.
Yep.
And the one in the center is closer to the person that goes second. It's like, yeah, this is like a chess-like setup of just thinking about these opening moves and getting the thing moving.
Actually, yeah, you're right. So the way it plays is actually like, this is what it kind of plays like on your turn, is like like Hearthstone, like a card game, and then a tactics game kind of mixed in there with where you're going to place the card unit or whatever, or like ability that you're using. And then after that, a chess game of where you're going to move them and like do certain... It's weird. It's really fucking weird.
Like board control is a thing because you can summon a creature anywhere that's next to a creature you have on the board already.
Yes.
So like spreading out, like then you can get your shit in where it needs to be. Oh, it's so good. And then their units that exploit, their units can fly, attack anywhere. Their units that are ranged.
Yep.
Although not very many, but it's all
the ranged ones are kind of overpowered. That might be a thing they have to figure out, like how to utilize a little bit better, because they can't. Okay, this is one of the big things about this game as well. It plays like a Hearthstone in that when you attack something, it will retaliate.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing can retaliate against range.
Mm-hmm.
So not only can they hit everywhere on the map, they don't have any drawback to, like, why wouldn't you just attack anything at all times with it? And you can reach anything.
Yeah. There's a healthy amount of removal in the game, I think, is really what keeps it from being too bad. If you can only really utilize a ranged unit in a way that's perfectly safe if you already kind of have board control.
Yeah, I guess.
Like
so.
If it's pretty even, it's going to be hard for you to find the space to get your ranged unit safely positioned, and if they're not safely positioned, they're just dead.
Sure.
So there's those elements to it, and there's a good amount of rule. I also think it's key that you draw 2 cards every turn, and every turn you can cycle out one of your cards for something else, for something random. It just like it keeps the game like fresh and moving at a much quicker pace. You're not like waiting for shit in the same way you can be. Even in Hearthstone, it also does the really smart thing of Hearthstone of you can queue up all your moves, so like there are animations involved, but you don't have to wait for them to play all the way out. You can just do the next thing. Like you can tell a character to move and then attack before it's actually reached the place it's moving to, which is fucking huge because that's like the big thing that makes like Hearthstone better than like digital versions of Magic. Is like just like that of getting shit done. This also has like some challenge mode stuff, which I've done all of already as much as it exists, where they'll set up like little puzzles. So they'll basically give you this setup with these cards in your hand and tell you win in this turn. So one turn you have to win. Like 3 of them were developed by the community in the last thing. And then they had like 5 that were supposedly super, or 3? I don't remember. There was some at the very end that were supposed to be super hard. I only had to look up a hint on one of those. One of those, I didn't realize how the mechanics of eggs completely worked, and you had to like turn something into an egg and then turn it back out of an egg in one turn, and then like the mechanics of like when that interacted with something else that gives.
Wouldn't you just be able to rush it then? After that,
you can't normally
when
rush
it's
it.
an egg.
No,
really.
When it becomes an egg, it's like it's been summoned as a new unit, and when it comes out of an egg, it also acts like it's just been summoned to the field. So there was a card that gives the first creature that's summoned next to it in a turn rush. So you had to turn it into an egg, then move that guy next to it, then unturn it from an egg, and then it can attack.
So if you try to rush an egg, you could, but it will literally do nothing because the egg doesn't move and it doesn't hatch or anything.
And it doesn't attack,
Yeah. Okay.
You could rush an egg, but it wouldn't. It wouldn't help. The egg is considered a separate thing.
Yeah.
They also just introduced a mode that I didn't get a chance to play yet. It's basically the arena mode. They just introduced that today. They launched it.
What do you mean? That was in
Or
there.
No, Gauntlet.
Yeah. You had to play 20 games to unlock it.
Yeah, no. But it wasn't. It had a timer on it that said it didn't unlock till this date.
No, I could have done it. I unlocked it. Yeah.
No, because I unlocked it, but it still wouldn't let you play it till today for me.
Oh, well, that timer doesn't make any sense at all. And, like, why have... I thought that was, like, another, like, 20 hours before, like, we close off the gauntlet for a week or something. I thought it was, like, the opposite thing, where it was closing.
I don't think they'd opened it up yet.
Okay.
Because this is still a beta, and they've been patching it a lot.
Yeah.
Like
It's
I was
really
playing
good
it.
beta, though. Fuck.
I had a lot of technical issues, but they were always at the end of a match the game would hang, and then when I tried, I would like quit the game, and then when I would open it up, it would hang at the opening. Like at those two spots, I kept having the game being fucked. Sometimes a match would. I think this is a bug. I think a match wouldn't start. Like my opponent would just quit. I think that was a matchmaking error, but they just gave you the win, so I didn't care.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
like, oh, your opponent left. You get a win.
I faced that, like,
think that-
twice. It's really easy to lose connection or have an opponent lose connection to you somehow.
Yeah.
Their netcode's not very good.
During games, I haven't had any issues. It's really been at like the beginning of games.
Yeah.
It's definitely been a thing.
Like their matchmaking stuff. It's really bad.
And they've
for some
been
reason.
they were like patching it all the time I was playing. Like they kept there's a little thing at the top that kept giving little updates about what they were doing. It's like
That's
we're
hilarious.
patching it. It seems to be good now, but we're watching it. Oh no, actually it's fucked. Sorry. Like they had constant updates at the little pop up at the top of the screen, which was nice.
That's
and
good.
like its version. It went from version like 5 to version 5.7 or something.
Oh,
Since like the last day. Like they've been patching it a lot.
you want to know something great?
But
You know who created this game?
oh.
Veterans from Diablo 3 and Rogue Legacy. It definitely has a Blizzard sensibility to how it plays, for sure. I don't know where the Rogue Legacy thing comes in. Maybe just the coding or something. But like, yeah, it definitely has like Blizzard employee like streamlined sensibility because you can pick it up and just kind of play the tutorials. There's 3 tutorials. As soon as you play through them, like you know that how to play that whole game. Basically.
Yeah, I wish they let you move through it a little quicker and not like have to specifically do the action they're wanting to at the pace, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, I mean you have to look at it from like somebody who's never even played a card game before might pick it up or something or try it because it looks neat. So I guess I understand.
Yeah, it was. I just found it a little annoying, but that's a minor complaint.
Did you know that this was a Kickstarter project?
I did not.
3,578 backers pledged $137,707 to help bring this project to life.
Interesting.
I'm trying to see how much their goal was 68,000, so they doubled it.
Cool.
Good for them. It's actually really good.
But they've made a good thing. Like that's the best thing I can say. Like,
Oh, you know what? This actually will tell us what's coming. Do you want to know more about this game?
yes.
Okay. So the game modes are going to be ranked draft, ranked normal, practice casual, and single player. Ranked draft. Each player forms their battle squad from the entire collection of units and spells available in the game in draft format. Each turn will last 90 seconds in a multiplayer head-to-head synchronous live game. Ranked normal, each player creates their own squad of units and spells from their own collection. This is what we're playing now, ranked normal. Practice casual, non-ranked play with no limit to the length of time for each turn. And submit your turn in asynchronous play example, play by mail. So I could do a turn and then go to work, come back and see if you've responded. That's great. Because it's casual, so why not?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Single player. Practice and challenge yourself against a computer AI or new units and spells as you progress in the practice mode. So it's a practice mode, basically. Mm-hmm. There are 100 plus units and spells planned, I guess. And yeah, it looks like... Yeah, it looks like they started all of this off with pen and paper and grid paper and pens and dice and stuff. That's really interesting.
I mean, that would probably be a great way to fucking playtest quickly and iterate really fast. You just wouldn't be able to do... I mean, I guess you could still do the random stuff with just dice rolls, but...
So...
It's cool.
Keith Lee is the team lead for the game and for this company or whatever. And he was the lead producer for Diablo 3 at Blizzard. And at Insomniac Games, he was the lead game programmer. So he has Diablo 3, World of Warcraft, The Burning Crusade, Resistance, Ratchet, Deadlocked, Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal, and Ratchet and Clank Going Commando on his resume. And then
I don't really see any Ratchet and Clank.
I don't see Ratchet and Clank either. And yeah, the lead artist is the Rogue Legacy dude. And the animator for Chasm and Deep Dungeons of Doom. Yeah, you know what? That's exactly right. That is exactly that art style. Okay.
Huh.
Makes sense.
The thing I really want to do in that game, there's these, like, mech characters that are, like, they summon 20% of mech thing, Mechazord or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I think it's Mechazord, yeah.
I want all those cards.
I want a Mechazord deck. I know.
Do that. So dumb.
Oh, that's another thing. Like Hearthstone, there is a crafting mechanic, so you can craft cards for your deck that you want, if you want to.
It also treats packs the same way Hearthstone does.
Yeah, you can pay money, or you can get the in-game currency from just playing a bunch and doing dailies. I think there are, like, literally dailies in there.
Yep.
Like Hearthstone. Also, like Hearthstone, they have, like, classes, quote-unquote, like factions that you play.
Yeah, they don't have as many as Hearthstone.
They have 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I like that. It gives a little flavor to what you're going to be playing against. That's what I really like about Hearthstone. Because, like, with Magic, if you, like, watch 2 people play or whatever, it's like, oh, I'm watching, like, Hank and me play. But, like, in Hearthstone, if we were playing, it's like I'm watching a paladin fight a rogue sort of thing. And there's kind of a preconceived notion of, like, what type of decks they might be running. So you kind of get the same thing here. Like, when I see Abyssian, I'm just like, well, I'm going to have to mulligan hard to make sure I'm able to kill a bunch of little garbage minions.
Yeah, really, I mean, it makes that enforced, and that makes it easier for casual players. Like, with Magic, at any high level, all those decks are branded on names. So that's actually is part of Magic if you follow it, but for a new player, it's not really a thing.
Yeah. Who is your favorite faction?
I've been playing Magmar recently, but I don't really know that I have a favorite yet.
I don't think I know what I want to do with Magmar, because I made a deck that was just, like, buff up the main dude, your captain, like, a lot. So I have a card that gives him Fury, which, for anybody who's wondering, is, like, when you attack an enemy, he also attacks every other enemy for the same amount in the area with that same thing. And then, like, the +4 attack damage, I have 2 of those, and, like, a bunch of stuff to buff him up.
Yeah.
But then it's like I never want to, because a lot of people are playing Rush, because Rush is kind of easy-ish to play.
Yeah.
So he gets nuked, like, really, really quick, and I'm not going to hit something that does, like, 6 damage if I have 10 health. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. I was just playing them because, like, good value on creatures, it looked like. I don't really have that many cards yet, so I wasn't really
Yeah.
trying to do anything too complicated. So it was really just that.
That faction seems very buff focused, like buffing your dudes and yourself.
I like those creatures that like just get stronger as long as they stick around. Like they have
Sure. Yeah.
that 1/7 that gets +4/+4 every turn. And like what I
Mm.
like about it is like it's basically being healed for 4 every turn if it's getting
Yeah.
attacked. So that was cool. I like that stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't really been doing all that great with it. I've been sort of like 50-50 on games.
Oh man, Lionar. It's still my go-to.
I got to rank 20 just playing the starter decks.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And I haven't really progressed past there. Still.
There's some really bad people playing right now, so it's been kind of nice. That's why I played so long that one morning, was because it's like, I'm on like a 10 win streak because people are terrible right now. And that's been good. Yeah, if I revisit it in a month, and like, especially if it starts getting covered by popular dudes, I am going to be the worst again. So maybe I should just enjoy it while we have it.
What I l- so the like really what describes why I love this thing is like that there are those one turn challenge things. Like the amount of shit that can happen in one turn
It's
is
a lot.
really what makes it appeal to me. Like just the amount of stuff and choices you have to make and things that can happen. That's what makes it really interesting to me.
I really like how they did taunt in this, because like
It's cool.
it works really well,
Yeah.
and you can bypass it really well if you need to as well. But like,
Yeah.
just putting a whole bunch of taunts down is just like, get out of this asshole. You just know on the other end they're like, fuck you. It's really irritating to have to deal with. That's why that one dude is like the best card in the game, the 4/6. He's so hard to get through.
4/9, I think you mean.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. For like 5 mana, I think.
Yeah,
think
something like that.
The Moss Golem.
Moss Golem is like strong. That's a strong card. That's a hard card to get rid of without hard removal.
He's like the Yeti of this game.
I think he's tougher than the Yeti, though.
Well, he is tougher.
No, like, he is literally tougher than the Yeti, but, like,
yeah.
I think he's just tougher than the Yeti in general, to... Because the Yeti didn't require hard removal. I still have to try Songhai and Vanar or whatever. You like the Vitruvian cards for a while there, it seemed.
I like drawing cards, but then I kept having too many games where I'd drawn my entire deck and I still hadn't won. Fuck. I was drawing too much. And that was with the starter deck. Like, I hadn't even built a deck around drawing cards.
This is on Steam Greenlight. Interesting. This game is fucking old. The Kickstarter was ended on April 9th, 2014.
That's not that old for a Kickstarter. Like, from end of Kickstarter to coming out as a game.
That's pretty old. That's like a year ago. 2 years ago, almost. Year and a half.
That's reasonable for a video game, honestly.
Yeah. Weird. Anyways, yeah, that is a
That's why I don't back video game Kickstarters. It's like the thing's not going to be around for a fucking long time anyway.
And then I probably won't care. Like, yeah.
Or if I will care, then I'll care when it comes out. Like, I was as into following a game from Kickstarter as I could be with Massive Chalice, and I still was never going to back that thing. Like, I'm just not going to back a video game Kickstarter. Video games are too fucking hard, and it's too unclear what they're going to turn into based on from where you start. Like, no.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I know too much about the industry. I know too much.
Oh, man, So I'm looking at their stretch goals that they met and some of the ones they didn't. The first stretch goal was additional battle units and spells and Linux support. So 5 additional battle units with their own unique artwork, blah, 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 whatever. The next one, new faction. So they put in a new faction. It doesn't really say which one it is. Yeah, I could look that up later. The next stretch goal, language translation. So it's being localized in French, Italian, German, Spanish, Japanese, Korean, and Chinese. So that's cool. A whole bunch of people will be able to play it. And the last one that they reached, more battle maps and concept art. They were so close, though. The next one was support for Sony PlayStation 4.
Oh, wow.
They were so close.
So close.
They were looking at 150,000 for that, and they got 137.
That would have been crazy, because this game would work really well on consoles, honestly, probably.
Oh,
and there's
yeah.
so little on...
Yeah, like
if you have a game that could work on consoles, you should put it on a console, because a lot of people have those things, and not that much to play.
You know what? I'm going to let that go for now. We can revisit it if I'm feeling like I want to get into a fight with people at some point on Twitter, but I was just going to say, like, why would you ever own a console at this point? There was a point where it's like, sure, but we are so far past that right now.
You own a Wii U, so you can play the new Guitar Hero.
Right, exactly. This is what I found funny, though. 150,000 for support for Sony PlayStation 4. They had to reach 250,000 for Xbox One support. That is their last thing on their stretch goals. So they would have had to do 4 stretch goals in between and then hit the last one for Xbox. So it's just harder to get on Microsoft platforms, I guess. Just straight up. Which is gross. That's really shitty.
Yeah, no, that was one of the big things. I mean, you heard up front was Sony was like out there making deals with indies in a way that Microsoft had kind of abandoned all of them. Like they kind of got back into it a bit, but it just sounds like Sony has like that infrastructure in place for talking to indies.
For sure.
Which they need to do because they're not making any games of their own.
Yeah, no, it's true. They're too busy about porting everything and making Game of the Year editions. Like, fuck off. Anyways, Sony PlayStation 4, 150,000 support. 160,000 support, a short story compendium commissioned from some great sci-fi and fantasy writers to pen short story vignettes about the characters and the events in the world of Duelyst. That could have been nice, I guess.
Yeah.
That's a high price tag to commission some writers to write some bullshit about sci-fi fantasy, but whatever. 108.
Yeah, I'm sure that shit costs money.
180,000. Awesome AI, machine learning specialist who will develop better AI to keep you challenged as you improve and train. The AI will learn and synthesize player trends and behaviors from top-ranked and equally matched players using the latest machine learning algorithms. That would have been cool.
I just find it interesting that they like could figure out what that would cost.
Yeah. Oh, from what I'm to understand, these are basically like the commission would be the 160,000 to get some. They probably had specific people in mind that they wanted to write. The 180 sounds like they would have literally needed another programmer. Like it would have been his payroll, basically.
Yeah.
Because the next one up is 230,000. Mobile tablets, hire dedicated programmer to focus on iOS and Android. So, like, they would have hired a specific person.
Yeah, and this game also would work on tablet, because Hearthstone does.
Yeah, it would have worked very well. I think it would have worked better than Hearthstone does, because Hearthstone has too many frills and stuff, and this is pixel art, and is a little simpler.
Yeah.
And 250,000 Microsoft Xbox One support. Now, the cool thing, though, is that reading the stretch goals here, you kind of get an idea that, like, if they actually make it and start making decent money, they're going to do these things, I'm sure. Like, these are things they want to add. So, like, the next thing up for them, it sounds like, if we go in priority order, would probably be PlayStation 4 support, which is great.
That's smart. whatever.
Yeah.
Like if I want this game to do good because I'm having fun with it. So more would be good.
I just
I
want
really
people
like
to
this fucking thing.
think about good ideas and then make them a thing. And I want people to be rewarded for that when they do it well.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
People should check out Duelyst, though. It is free to just download and play. So, yeah.
It's a good time.
Yeah. Tell me about Yokai Watch.
Yokai Watch. So the thing I really like about the Yokai Watch demo, first of all, is that demo just goes, "Yo, you want some yokais? Let's go find yokais. Yokai." Like right off the bat, it
Yeah.
doesn't tell you anything about the world. It just kicks you out.
I hated that. I wanted to know about the world and like kind
I
of
like
where I fit in it.
I like that for a demo. Of just like I want to know what this thing is in terms of gameplay. It's like, okay, this is what it is. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So what the big thing about Yokai Watch, first of all, is that makes a lot of decisions like as a game for kids. Like it just does a lot of things in terms of like setting up the world that's like relatable to kids, so that then when it puts magical creatures in the world, it gets kids to think about magical creatures in the real world.
Sure.
Like
Like Pokemon did.
Yeah, but like even in a more extreme way, because it's more focused on like really relating to the real world, particularly Japanese kids, because it does the. I love how as soon as you run in, it just automatically takes your shoes off at the front door, and then your shoes are like there at the front door, and when you run out, they're just automatically put on. Like those little silly things, like it makes kids have to. There are crosswalk signs. You have to push the button and wait for the signal to change, and then it makes a little whistle when you cross. And if you don't do that, eventually a strong yokai comes and beats you up, like to punish you for not. Like it's good lessons for kids. Also, that game starts out with it's about kids comparing their bug collection. And like this kid is like saying, "Yeah, here's my sick ass bug collection," and then your character goes, "Oh yeah, well I have a cool bug collection too," and then you have to go out and find some bugs because you were totally lying.
And then you find yokai instead.
Yeah, and the kid goes, "I really just wanted some bugs."
Yeah, stupid kids. That's how they would act.
It's like, yeah, I think, yeah. Look, I really appreciate it, but I'm really just interested in finding some bugs. It's just so then you like meet you. He finds like a capsule machine in the forest, and then a ghost comes out of it and it's like, "Hey, you should go catch yokai. Yokai are cool." And then you can go help people. Like the game is really about finding yokai to be helpful. Like it's about being a cool kid, and it's like partially about just collecting things. Like it's trying to ride that line. Like it is selling it as like, here, you're the first kid who found yokai, so now you could be on the bleeding edge of collecting the new hot thing before your friends find out about it.
Wow.
Like it's totally positioned that way.
Great.
The thing it does better than Pokemon off the bat is just it gives you a bunch of weird, cool creatures up front in a way Pokemon doesn't really. Pokemon just gives you like your one starter, and then there's like trash most for the beginning of those games.
Do you like the thing with Pokemon though is that you get your starter, and like that's you go through a lot of areas like before you start getting Pokeballs to catch other shit.
Yeah.
Do you like form a bond with like your starter? Like you actually care about it more than the other ones, and that's just like the psychological thing where it's like you spend more time with this one and it's in your first slot. Like they really push that sort of thing, whereas I feel that is not really there with Yokai Watch from the demo point of view.
No, Yokai Watch sets you up with just here are 6 yokai. You have 6 yokai now, basically at the start. The thing that yokai does well is like shit popping off all the time. Like it's very stimulating up front. Whereas I do think in a way, Pokemon totally isn't. Pokemon's like kind of boring, like in comparison,
Oh,
particularly
dude.
up front, for
No,
sure.
just like not even compared to anything. It
Yeah.
is boring in a
It's
lot of
boring
parts.
in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But the thing about Pokemon that keeps it having longevity is how deep it is, and like
Like
how fucking
mechanically, yeah.
yeah, just fucking how mechanically fucking deep those systems are. This
Yeah.
doesn't have that.
No, it
Like
doesn't at
this
all.
doesn't have that at all. But as a game for kids, it has a lot of shit popping off. Like I'm enjoying this thing. I don't think I would buy a Yokai Watch 2. Like I don't think
Okay.
there's anything that's like makes this a long-term thing. It's just fun and neat, but it's not nearly as deep. It's much silly. Like combat, you're mostly doing little mini games to pop off their special abilities like tapping shit and spinning. You're doing a lot of shit, but it's like it's fucking nonsense. Like there are strategic elements. Eventually, you have to start like pinning stuff, but it's all these weird, very simple things stacked on top of each other to like keep you involved. But there's not very much strategy. There is strategy in terms of like building your team, and there are type advantages and stuff, but it's just not anywhere near as deep as Pokemon. It's just much more exciting and stimulating up front. And those monsters look cool. Those creatures are weird and
Yeah,
have
they are.
like stories. Like you meet a ghost cat who's like constantly jumping at trucks trying to punch them because he was run over by a truck.
Probably
Like
because he tried to punch it.
yeah, so he's like very sad that he's always defeated by trucks. There's like the story elements in this I also like because they're ghosts. Like there's a reality to this in terms of story. It's like, oh no, my parents are fighting. Like the reality of seeing that. But then there's a magical ghost that you can go defeat eventually when you're strong enough, and then your parents won't fight anymore. It's weird, but it is like trying to deal with issues that relate to kids instead of just saying, "Go out and be the best."
Like
Be
no
the
one ever
strongest.
was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Also, there's a cheesy theme song at the beginning of this game.
Okay,
It just
cool.
made me think if Pokemon had put the fucking theme song in the game, that would be the thing, man.
The intro song to Pokemon is actually like fantastic though, and it always has
Yes.
been. So, yeah.
Yeah, that first Pokemon theme song that they wrote out for like 80 episodes.
Is there a Kappa in Yokai Watch?
A Kappa.
Yes. They're like a weird, like, frog thing. Like a child frog, scaly thing.
Probably. I don't know that I've seen one yet. I think I had. I might have seen it.
The only
I don't-
reason I ask is because if you played it on Twitch, you know that would just be like the one that everybody wants.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
It's
I have a
Kappa.
ninja yokai, and I have like a cicada yokai.
Okay. What's your ninja called?
It's Dimmy is the name of it.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, they're just dumb looking things. They're funny. It's just a thing.
How much
Like,
is this
it's-
game? Is this a $40?
I think so.
Yeah, okay. Do you think it's worth like the full 3DS price thing? Or is it just kind of a thing that like is pass upable, if, for lack of a better word?
Like it depends how much like joy you get in like the novelty of this weird Japanese thing with these Japanese creatures, and you're like, oh, and like just like the fun of it really being kids in like really the real world, but just with these fantasy elements added in. Like, how much does that appeal to you? I think is really the thing.
I mean, yeah, like probably a decent amount.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it. Giant Bomb doesn't have a quick look on Yokai Watch yet.
Nope, they don't.
How the fuck do they go this long without one? Drew
'Cause
actually wanted to play that.
he has played it.
Like what? Okay, why isn't it there then?
A, Extra Life happened. B, they're preparing Game of the Year stuff, and they've had other quick looks they had to catch up on. Like they only
That's all
put out
excuses.
they only put up so many videos a day.
They have a
They
Yokai
had
Watch
to
quick
put up-
look scheduled for tomorrow at 7 a.m.
Yeah, they had to. They gave Fallout 4 was Monday. I think Tuesday was Tomb Raider.
Oh, what's
I don't
what's
know
that
what-
other one? Oh, Legacy
today
of
they
the Void.
did fucking Tomb Watch or something. They did like an old the Giant Bomb East guys do this choose our own adventure live stream thing where they've been playing FMV games mostly. They played
That sounds great.
starring Christopher Lloyd. It's kind of amazing.
That sounds great.
There's
And
like
better than a
S&M
lot of the free stuff you can get on Giant Bomb right now.
There's S&M cows. Cow was weird.
Okay.
It's weird.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Yokai Watch. is
Yokai
okay.
Watch.
Okay, cool. What else? What else do you want to talk about?
The one thing I have to just say this one line.
Yeah.
That there's a guy who's like comes to you with like saying you should protect the city. It's like, the vigor of youth. You sound like me when I had hope. You'll do great.
Oh man, that's depressing.
There's like the game is like the ways in which it's too real or just make me laugh. That's really what keeps me going in it and why I was posting a bunch of like I was really into it while I was playing it. Like I posted a bunch of screenshots on Twitter just because I was like, yeah, Yokai Watch. Fuck, this thing is silly and sad.
Yeah. There's a fine line that, like, yeah, just going. You just go over that line sometimes between sad and funny. It makes the funny parts better and the sad parts more heart filled or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Good times. Kids
Yep.
games. Speaking of kids games, how's Super Mario Maker going? Because that's apparently a thing you were doing.
Yeah, so they added in that patch that
For
added
checkpoints.
checkpoints,
Yep.
attaching mushrooms to flowers so that they can, and the other power-ups, the unique power-ups, so that they can operate the way they do in normal Mario, where if you're big, you get the bigger power-up. But the big thing they added was they added the whatever it's called, the like event courses that are special, and they added the Maker official Nintendo stuff. So they added a whole bunch of special Nintendo authorized courses. So like
Cool.
the event stuff is mostly stuff that's like won contests and stuff. Like they added one today that was like contest winner from Famitsu made this level about Yoshi. And then there's the weird thing is like some of them are like well, you'll play an official Nintendo level that throws a ton of shit at you right at the start, and you're like, thanks, this is an authorized asshole level.
Great. So they're doing it now too.
Some of their levels, yeah.
Great.
A bunch of the levels were just easy and simple and fun. There were like two of the official Nintendo ones, or no, two of the maps I would say were really hard and like an interesting challenge. Like they were complicated, kind of like the Maker channel for Nintendo stuff isn't labeled by people. It's like labeled by, oh, here's the level Bowser made. Here's the level the fucking Parakeet made. Here's the level the
Oh, yeah.
Eraser made.
So
The
like,
Eraser made a level that was where all the objects were made to look like erasers.
I mean, that makes sense, right?
But it was
Erasers
very-
always have the biggest ego.
Yeah, they were heavy music block level. It was a heavy music block level.
Fuck. That sounds like a nightmare. Holy shit.
It wasn't. The Bowser level was the hardest of the the official Nintendo one stuff.
You know
That
what?
was the one
I guess that makes sense.
yeah. That was like you like jump up blocks to get a. That one also like had dead ends and you could do stuff wrong, like just asshole stuff. Like you go through a door and it's like ha 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 ha. You can't get through here yet. You have to jump on these bullets as they shoot up into the air, and then to get a mushroom to come back to spin jump through these blocks, but avoid the saws, and then hit a P switch, and then all the bullet bill cannons you're standing on fall, and you have to platform over them as they fall. And then as one is about to hit the lava, one of the shell guys gets shot out of a cannon with wings, and you have to jump onto him as another bullet bill falls, and then jump onto that bullet bill cannon, and then jump off that to get to the next area.
Fuck that.
And that's just part one of that level.
Whatever happened to 1-1? Jump over this Goomba. You did it. Now jump over a gap. You did it. You win.
I mean, they made a bunch of easy levels too. Like they also did, like, here's this easy level, and now on this other channel is just someone making another level that's changes just a bunch of stuff about that level, so it's just slightly different in a bunch of weird
So it's
ways.
like a remix?
Yeah, basically.
That's cool. I like that. So you've been enjoying that still?
Yeah, I played all those levels. I updated. I took down some of my levels that hadn't been getting played and put checkpoints in them to see what happens.
Did you play the Reckoning?
I have played the Reckoning, and I have played the Klepocalypse. I haven't beaten either of them, though.
Okay, I haven't seen that one yet. I'll watch that after we're done.
The Klepocalypse he made on the Extra Life stream.
Okay. Well, like, because they were giving each other
like
ones, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It seems like it's harder.
Then Reckoning?
Yeah. From whatever. The completion rate is lower, so...
Maybe just more people like Dan than they do Epic and have tried his game more or less or whatever.
No, the Klepocalypse was also made by Dan. I mean...
it was?
Yeah,
okay.
This is just Dan's next level that he made on his...
So he's actually just getting good at making terrible, like, masochistic levels now.
Yeah.
That's a bad skill set to develop. Oh, well.
It's great seeing him have to play it. That's like what makes it better. It's him like,
yeah.
Fuck.
Oh, is that what he was making when they... Like, I watched a little bit of the Extra Life thing where, like, Will Smith came to hang out and talk to them and stuff. And he was like... There's a part where you have to, like, basically spin jump to get a POW block.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, go across a bunch of thwomps and then do, like... Another jump over a piece, like using a P-switch to boost you up or something with coin blocks there. That one?
That's just the start of that level.
Yeah, okay.
It's going from after that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that was the level he made, and he called it the Klepocalypse. It's his follow-up.
God damn it. That guy.
He was not really having a good time trying to beat it, which made it better.
Was he actually, like, getting mad about it?
Like, the best part of it, like, when Dan plays a hard Mario, he, like, starts, like, talking to himself, saying, okay, Dan, don't fuck this up. Gets, like, really fucking anxious, and it's like, yeah. And then they would, like, he was also sick, so they had him, like, quarantined in the quick look room for a lot of the stream, and they would occasionally bring him out to talk about the level, and then they would send him back in while he would just kept hammering away at it.
Oh, is that why they referred to it as the quick look quarantine room?
Yes, it's because he was sick.
Okay.
Wanted to keep him away from them. So that was a thing. Yeah, Mario Maker. It continues to be a thing.
It does. And will forever, because Nintendo games, like, are always around, it seems.
Yeah.
What about Galaxy? Does that have staying power?
I haven't put that much time into Galaxy yet, but that's a roguelike space shooter thing. Where your ship can turn into a robot. And it's very the aesthetically, it's very drawing from 80s anime, like Robotech.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it from what I'm looking
Like
up here.
its pause screen has lots of It's like a super VHS-y pause screen. It's
Huh.
like the way that hits the most, where like the lines pop up, and then like it
Oh
has like
wow.
just looking menu. So like it's a really great pause menu. Uh, so that thing's like hard. Like it's a hard game. It's very complicated. So there's like staying power and there's like skill in figuring that out. Like your ship has a lot of like asteroid Z momentum. You have like your regular accelerate, you have reverse, you have a boost, you have a dodge button where your ship will like fly up into the screen to get away from stuff. And you have like two shields and then like four health, and like each hit will take off a shield. If your shields are down, you lose health is permanent, shields recharge. It has all like the roguelike elements, but there's like an arcade mode structure which has a story element to it where it will let you like restart at the specific parts in the game if you die, so you can see the story. But there's also the roguelike mode, which is sort of how the game is designed around in terms of gameplay of like building up your ship and getting better so that you're good enough to beat the end of it.
This has some high ratings. Holy shit. I didn't realize people were liking it so much. 9
Yeah.
out of 10 on Steam, Eurogamer 4 out of 5, 8.3 out of 10 for IGN. Like, people are liking this game.
Yep. It was on uh it's on sale on Midweek Madness was why I picked it up.
Okay.
Steam. So that's I haven't put that much time into it, but it was like this thing is on sale. I know I want to play this.
Oh,
Pick it up.
it's $20 like standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't have that much to say about it right now. It seems cool. Uh, it seems hard, and it has all those like weird spaceship momentum stuff you have to deal with. And also, there are like different factions of enemies. So you'll come across like a big group of enemies, but there'll be like two factions fighting each other, which is interesting.
Huh.
A lot of the stuff I've seen, the part that makes it really interesting was when you can turn into a robot. Which again, it's pretty early, but I haven't gotten to it yet. I only put like a half hour into this thing. And with the robot, you can, instead of just shooting bullets or having missiles, you have a sword attack, so you have like melee range, and you have like a grappling hook thing where you can grab enemies and then hit them, or you can like grab asteroids or objects and then throw them at other people. Also in that
Yeah,
mode,
okay.
instead of having just a normal like shield around you, you have a much stronger shield, but it's only you have like a special shield, but it's just right in front of you. That like you have to point at stuff to completely block it.
Uh-huh.
So there's all these different like mechanical elements to this game that like add in addition to a bunch of different unit and enemy types that are can be pretty strong, and you have to be able to know how to deal with. And then you also have like you have missiles that can be really useful, but they're a limited resource. And then there are all these upgrades you can get and buy because you're like exploring and stuff. There's a lot to it. It's got good roguelike elements.
Cool.
I don't know how much I'll like it by the end of it, but it's worth playing.
I don't like games that control like Asteroid with the momentum thing, so probably I'll stay away from this one.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Cool though. Yeah, it's
Yep.
getting some high marks.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of space,
Space.
it's so easy to transition from that to this.
Yeah.
Fallout 4 came out. I'm just kidding.
So StarCraft II Legacy of the Void came out, the new expansion pack for StarCraft II that is the Protoss campaign.
How
I've only
great is
played-
it?
I mean, the cutscenes are fucking phenomenal.
So it is a Blizzard product. Good to know.
Their cutscenes have gotten better. Like, fuck. It's
Even
really
their
good.
shitty old ones hold up. Like
Yeah.
they're not great, but they're just good still. And I don't know how the hell they do it.
But I mean, when they go all out with their full budget of pre-rendered cutscenes, fuck.
Yeah.
There's a fight, like the one for this one is a fight between a bunch of Protoss and Zerg. And just like seeing the Protoss like mechanics of like those units work in a fucking giant, really nice looking cutscene is kind of amazing. Like just seeing a probe like start to open that big fucking black hole because it's summoning a pylon, or seeing two archons like forming up into a
Yeah.
fucking. It just fucking looks cool, man. It just looks fucking rad.
That's what I loved about that. I think it was for Archon mode actually, with the two
Uh-huh.
Templars like joining together to form an Archon.
Yeah.
And they're just like there's just like this cataclysmic cloud forming with like an electrical storm in it, and you're just like,
Yeah.
oh shit, here we go. Like you know what's gonna happen.
Oh, it's so good. So good. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's story stuff has already happened like 2 minutes in that I'm not gonna spoil. But shit is
Okay.
bad. Shit is real.
Already, huh?
Yeah, already. Shit hit the fan.
Cool.
Like way more story has happened in this than like that. Those fucking 3 mission prologue thing feels like such a like nothing thing in terms of story that they did. Like just
I mean, it
nothing
kind of was
fucking-
meant to just be a
yeah,
nothing
it was like
thing.
it was like yeah, it was like oh, we should make stuff so that people will pre-order this game.
And it worked. It got you. So
It did get me. Yep. Honestly, the thing that I expected to happen at that couldn't happen because they were saving it for the real game. So
okay, fair enough. I think I might have an idea of what you're talking about now.
yeah.
Okay.
So I'm interested to see where that story goes. I like that game. I like their single player stuff.
So you are gonna be playing through it and all that.
I'm definitely gonna play through it. I want to do the co-op mission stuff, but my friend, who I do generally play Starcraft co-op with, needs to build a new computer.
Yeah.
I'll have to wait on that. I guess. But
Well,
that co-op,
it'll be there.
I was looking into that co-op stuff, and it seems cool. Like
Yeah.
you pick a commander unit that gives you all these weird abilities that then you unlock the more you play the commander, I guess. Like there's
Yeah,
Rainer.
like you rank
there's-
up your commanders.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
To then do, and just adding weird mechanics that they don't have to balance is what I like about the campaigns of StarCraft. So finding a way to do that you can experience with someone else is definitely good.
Yeah, they did it.
Yep. It seems cool. It seems like a good expansion. I'll have to play more of it, and I will.
Cool. Speaking of good expansions, let's talk about Fallout 4.
I think you mean Fallout 3 with better graphics plus mods people had already made, basically.
Yeah. I mean, kind of.
I think there were base building mods. Like that was a thing, I think.
Yeah.
What I heard.
Yeah, I think so. I never dealt with mods and stuff because I don't care enough. I don't care enough where, like, when it breaks, I have to, like, find out what broke and either fix it or get rid of it. Like, fuck that. Like, I'm just going to push play here and play for a bit and then go to bed. Speaking of which, this game came out, like, what, 24, 48 hours ago?
Something like that.
It's midnight. Well, it's after midnight. Let's just say, like, midnight or whatever your time right now
Yeah.
would be Thursday. Yeah, so 2 days. It's
Yeah.
been about 48 hours. I have 12 hours in this, and consider I work 9.5 to 10 hours each day.
God damn.
I've been playing it quite a bit, and it's real good. It is exactly that same feeling from when you played Fallout 3 when that first was new. Again. So that's pretty impressive considering, like, I didn't have that feeling with New Vegas. It was like Fallout 3 again in, like, another area. But I wasn't, like, it wasn't this mind-blowing, like, I have to keep seeing more of this world. It was like, this is fun and, like, I'll play it for a while and then put it down. This is, like, the Fallout 3 thing again, where, like, I want to keep exploring, looking around, finding stuff, doing side missions and stuff, and spend, like, 5 hours making a base, basically. go scavenge a whole bunch of materials for steel so I can make a wall.
So is it really the base building stuff that makes this one feel new again compared to New Vegas?
No,
what is
the
it?
thing that really makes it feel new is it's way less buggy than any other Bethesda game I've ever seen already, which is huge. Like, it's still buggy, of course, but it is less buggy than Bethesda games usually are. Considering they've added so many more elements to this game, that's really impressive. I was expecting this to be dead, basically. I even remember saying something like, when they were showing that stuff off at E3, just thinking to myself, like, oh, this is going to break so fucking bad. And no, it's been the most stable Bethesda game I think I've ever played. There's still problems with it, but, like, of course there are. The thing that makes it feel new is their VATS system no longer freezes enemies in place. They will keep slowly moving and stuff. It just kind of slows time down. So you can't just, like, use VATS as a pause menu anymore. You still have to kind of, like, make a decision if something's really close to you on the fly. And, like, if they're moving really fast or something, even if you have a high accuracy rating, it's very likely that when you go out of VATS or, like, accept that you're trying to, like, shoot their head at 70% or something, you're probably going to miss because they're moving at you and, like, bobbing and stuff. So, like, mechanically from the combat and shooting standpoint, it feels better. That being said, it still feels shitty as a first-person shooter when you're not using VATS. Because they've all have. The VATS is kind of the way you play this game. The way this goes is you basically, like, go hiding, or you're, like, sneaking or whatever. Then you line up a shot out of VATS, you take it, and then as they find out where you are, then you go into VATS and finish them off. And it's kind of still rings true now. It's the same thing, basically. Like, use VATS when you're in combat and, like, things are going kind of hairy. Otherwise, like, you could probably line up shots decently with some decent scoped weapons and whatnot, and it'll be totally fine. There's a lot more faction stuff than before, which I like. Like, you're doing quests for different factions and stuff like that, and it does make you feel like you're kind of spreading influence over a kind of derelict and shitty, like, landscape, which is kind of cool. That's where the base building thing comes in as well. Like, you'll help out some settlers in an area, and then they'll be like, okay, well, I guess we, like, the first faction you meet is called the Minutemen, and they're basically like, from, like, the Fallout New Vegas, the, like, lawmen sort of thing or whatever. They're fighting for people, and they give you jobs like, go help the settlers out over here. You do so, and then they're like, okay, we're gonna, like, support the Minutemen because they basically rescued us. And then that area opens up for you to build in as well, and you can build, like, little bases and stuff in that area. And that just kind of goes across the whole map. Like, you can have a whole bunch of little places that are very close together. That map is huge, though, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish that game in that way, where I get everything. I feel like it's going to have the same thing that Fallout 3 had for me, that when, like, the ooh and ah for exploring is done, I'm just going to streamline the, like, 5 hours of actual campaign gameplay there is, and then just finish it off. The other thing are the weapon modifications make it that you want to take stuff all the time, and encumbrance is the worst now, because it's actually hindering you from progression. So, more now than ever before, putting in a code, like a console command, to get rid of encumbrance is going to make you cheating, basically, because it'll make it so that you can carry everything with you at all times, meaning you have unlimited resources to upgrade your, like, power level, essentially, for all your guns, and have money at the same time. And it's going to make it not fun, because you're no longer having to work towards something. if that makes sense.
Can't you store shit on your companion or whatever?
You can, yeah. You can like trade stuff to your dog, which is kind of hilarious. I'm gonna be trying a new build though. I think where I play. There's a perk you get that you do like more damage and stuff when you don't have a companion. I might try that out because I've been getting a little pissed off with the dog being in literally every hallway or doorway I need to get through, and then trying to finagle your way through this physics wall, basically that like is trying to path around you at the same time. Anytime you go through a small doorway is fucking irritating.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna try the like lone wolf perk or whatever and see if that's any better, but we'll see. As of right now, I'm just kind of having fun scavenging and exploring and doing some side missions here and there. I haven't touched my main mission since like the first or second hour of the game at all. Everything else has been like the side stuff, and it's been pretty great. But it is very much, if you liked Fallout 3, you will probably like Fallout 4. It plays very similarly with some additional things added on. So if you don't like those games, you probably won't care about Fallout 4.
That's pretty much where I am.
Yeah. Did you play Fallout 3?
Not really. Like, to me, the jank of the world and the way like there were only like 5 voice actors in that game, kind of just didn't, and like the way that the shooting was not really shooting. Yeah. It just didn't appeal. And those Bethesda games just don't really appeal to me. Like the grind of getting loot and stuff only really has appealed to me in multiplayer games where there's like, I feel like I'm working towards something that I would do with, I could put towards something else or something, or just experience with other people. And I don't get that out of single player games where that's the thing. If I'm playing an RPG, I'm playing it for the story, and I like more directed story, like the story from what I know of the Fallout games doesn't really interest me. Yeah. Like the way, okay, a lot of it seems flat, and it's all like there's a lot of story, but it's not like polished up story. It's all like, here's this thing, and then go here, and then do this, and then it just doesn't have much appeal for me. What about like the old Fallout games where it was more a tactical RPG? I never played those. Okay. Because I know you like tactics. I do like tactics. But I like very like clear. I like tactics when it's puzzly. Okay. Like when it's very the field is smaller and I know what I have, kind of thing. I don't know. I don't know the extent to which those old Fallout games are things that appeal to me, and they're just old games that I haven't played. You have them though, right? They were like free. They were free on GOG at some point, so I definitely have all those old ones. Okay. Well, then you could play at some point if you ever get the itch. Yeah. Doesn't sound like you will. Those aesthetics also just don't do much for me. Is the other part. Okay. For whatever reason, it's just not my thing. Sure. I mean, that's a big game. I will probably have more to say about it when it starts actually breaking for me, because I'm sure it will. But I've heard there like really bad frame rate issues on console. Yeah, I heard console's like unplayable. Yeah. That's weird. Giant Bomb gave it a whole star lower. Jeff Gerstmann gave it a whole star lower score on console just because there were areas in that game where he said like the frame rate was down to like 10 or something. Particularly downtown where there were a lot of enemies. He also said it was
Yeah.
a weird thing where when he was inside, it would get worse than when he was outside, which is like the opposite of how I'm used to frame rate working. I guess it's just because they have so many fucking objects in that game that
Yeah. Yeah, like
the
when you go
the wasteland
inside, it's
runs
just a
better.
huge world of
Yeah.
things to pick up, whereas outside there's somehow less of that, like in a confined area at least.
Yeah. I did. Jeff Gerstmann said the mod he wanted the most was the workshop stuff to work in the entire world, so you can just clean out the entire world.
I actually agree. But then I would actually never play that game. I would just clean the wasteland,
Yeah.
which would be my own game, I guess. It would be like that Viscera cleanup detail Fallout
Yeah.
version.
It would probably be just as buggy.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. I'm excited to play more of it, though. I'm probably going to do that when we're done talking.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I think that's it for video game stuff, though.
Yeah.
Tell me about Ash and the Evil Dead, because I'm kind of interested.
So what's your history with the Evil Dead franchise?
I mean, without going into specifics, a good one.
So, how much do you like Army of Darkness in particular?
You know, at this point, not as much as I used to, because that was the one that, like, my friends always wanted to watch. But it's fine. It has some great dumb parts, like the well of just, like, all the blood coming out at the beginning, or, you know, the skeleton, or him fighting with himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, so this is more kind of in line with that in terms of it's much more focused sort of on comedy.
Okay.
But there is sort of more horror elements to it than Army of Darkness. Like not quite to Evil Dead 2 levels or not nearly to the Evil Dead remake levels, but there's a lot of blood. They use a lot of fake blood and it's like real fake blood just squirting into people's faces.
Good.
Like the big thing about this, like in terms of on a production side, they did it right with like a lot of practical effects, and just seeing that stuff looks cool. Like Bruce Campbell's charismatic asshole, he's like a fucking schlop, particularly at the start of this, but he's like also then like secretly a fucking amazing monster hunter for whatever reason. It plays into all that. The writing's it's like almost good, but it feels a little weak. I'm not sure about it. Like 2 episodes in, but I've liked it enough to keep watching for sure. There's a really great the first episode was better. That one was actually directed by Sam Raimi, which is like the way these kind of TV shows go that are based off a movie. Like the directors of the movie will like direct the first episode and then hand it off. So that's like expected. But there's like a great scene where these 2 cops go into this house and like they just find this woman and then she like twists her fucking head around and starts walking at them backwards, and it's very like in like the rules when I'm thinking about it, it like feels like Call of Cthulhu in terms of just like random shit will like come alive and try to kill them in that room. The way like the evil works, and it will like possess people when they're weak or whatever.
Sure.
So it has
okay.
that element to it. It's fun. It's like a follow-up. It's a follow-up to Evil Dead. It's like a next thing with Bruce Campbell's Evil Dead. The way that Evil Dead works when you have Ash around, who's this fucking who changes things because he's a fucking idiot monster hunter who's like steals the show basically.
How long is each episode?
I think the first episode like is an hour. I'm not sure the second episode was that long though. I don't remember. Let me check. Yeah, the second episode was 30 minutes.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's probably it's airing on Stars, which is like cable channel that a lot of people don't have. But I think the first episode they put up streaming for free. But beyond that, you have to. There are ways to find things on the internet. But if you don't have access to Stars, but yeah,
I don't even know what that is. So yeah,
it's a cable. It's a cable movie channel. They air
in the
things.
States, probably.
I guess. I don't know. I don't even know.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
Do you have it?
My parents have it.
Okay, so you've been actually watching it on TV, not like downloading it or something.
Let's go with that.
Yeah.
It's just
Okay.
convenience, man.
Okay.
Convenience.
Okay. Fair enough. So
But
it's
I have,
pretty
like-
good.
Yeah, I enjoy it. You know, like for horror on TV,
Okay.
I have like
yeah.
nothing to fucking compare it to, man. Like
Yeah.
they go practical effects. It's like shit looks cool.
Yeah.
It's got Bruce Campbell in it. He's old and silly. Like it plays into the fact that Ash is old at this point. Like
I mean, I guess you have to, right? It's
Yeah.
pretty obvious.
he's like fake teeth.
That's pretty good. I like that.
He's an idiot. Like this whole thing starts because he gets high and like reads the fucking Book of the Dead to some girl because she likes fucking poetry. He likes poetry.
That is actually a fantastic idea. I really like
That's
that.
how it all. That's how it all kicks off.
Okay, sure. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I forgot to bring something up when we were talking about video games that I want to
Sure.
mention. I bought the Humble monthly bundle.
Mm-hmm.
Those games were announced last week.
Mm-hmm.
Those games are terrible. Not the, like, quality of the games,
Yeah.
but
About it's actually more games than I expected, but it's still completely in line with what I expected.
what is it, like 6 or 7?
Something like that.
Yeah, I'll just bring it's 7, I guess. I'm looking at it right now. It says at the top. So okay, Humble do a lot of bundles, right? Like that is the thing they do. Humblebundle.com and all that. I think they probably feel like they should be that they're marketing to people who like their stuff already, their bundles. So this is like, we're going to give you another bundle sort of thing that you can buy, which is okay. The problem is that they give you every single game that's been on sale in the last year for like $3.
Yeah. It exists for people who don't go out and find and look at sales for video games or buy their own games. Like it feels like that's who they're target. That's like that has to be the only person that this would make any sense for what it is.
Like,
Kind of.
I'll just
Like, if you
quickly
pay
go
attention
over
to
what
sales. All those games have been on sale really cheap.
really cheap. I think somebody actually did the math on it, and it's like you're still saving money, obviously, because this is $12 for the month of bundles or whatever.
Yeah.
But like buying these all at the cheapest price, it would have been like $30. Each game has been like $2.50 to $3 at some point. So if you wanted any of them, you had more than enough opportunity to get any of them for real cheap.
And even if like they did hit, like to pay them the $12 monthly for whatever games they would end up putting in there, like it only takes one bad month for that to fuck up. Like consider like of games that you just don't have an interest in playing.
That's why I thought that they would come out harder on their first introductory month for people to
Yes.
maybe say, oh, wow, this is amazing or something. Let me read off to you what we have.
Yeah.
Saints Row the 4th came out in 2013 and has been on sales every fucking month. It's been free, like, for weekends many times.
I own that game and I haven't even finished. Like I barely played 3.
Besiege, which is, like, fair enough, it's a good game. It's also early access. So that is technically an unfinished product that you could get for cheap. But out of all of these, Besiege is the one I think, like, yeah, that fits here. That is a good pull. because it's recent. It's a thing that they will keep adding onto, so like it's an ongoing project sort of thing, and you can keep checking back in it and see what they add. And it's usually a pretty pricey game, like comparatively. Like it's never been $2. So that I felt, yeah, okay, that fits. Valkyria Chronicles from 2008.
Well, it's only been on PC for a couple years, I think.
Yeah, but anybody who cared played it on PlayStation 3 fucking 10 years ago.
That's not entirely true because that game was not very popular and gained like weird word of mouth, and a bunch of people, but all the people who wanted that game bought it when it came out on PC. Like that happened already.
Yeah. I still hold that nobody wanted it on PC anyway. Because not enough people even cared about it on the PS3. But the people that had PS3s, like, they tried it and put it down. It's not that good of a game. Whatever.
That game has a cult following.
But, like, technically every game does, though.
I don't know. I've heard people talk about that game a bunch.
Okay, fair enough. Lethal League, which came out last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty good. That is one of those games that, like, has been on sale, though. It's kind of a weird choice because it's not very popular, all things considered. And,
well, I mean, if you're the creator of Lethal League, you want to put that game in bundles like this because you want a bigger player base. You want more people to have.
Sanctuary RPG is, like, the strangest choice for this for me. Because a whole bunch of people don't even know what that is.
I don't think I even know what that is.
It is an RPG where all of the, like, enemies at the top that you're fighting and stuff are all done in ASCII art.
Great.
Yeah. And Towerfall Ascension.
Uh-huh.
Because everybody loves couch co-op games, first of all.
It's like the game you wouldn't buy even if maybe you thought it was cool because you didn't have anyone to play it with.
That's it, exactly. And then Legend of Grimrock 2, which you got for free if you pre-ordered or prepaid for it or whatever. That's a super niche type of game. The, like, turn-by-turn dungeon crawling thing. I'm into it, but, like, it's not enough to hold my interest, honestly. Overall, though, like, they needed to come out with, like, a punch, basically. Like, this is why you're going to be subscribing every month. There's a chance you get this sort of thing. I think what makes me even more annoyed, and I'm going to do this without naming names, but they know who they are. People that, like, I don't know, people that just want so badly to, like, let things be okay that they make excuses for shitty things like this. And it's fucking irritating. It's just like, well, if you, like, this sort of thing, like, isn't for you because you play a lot of games and collect a lot of games. It's like, well, then they shouldn't be marketing it to me in my fucking emails. Like, they should not be sending me emails or saying, like, this is how you can get even more games, things you've never seen on Humble before. I'm pretty sure that's false, too. I'm pretty sure at least one of these has been on Humble before. If not a couple of them. Anyways, fuck Humble. Fuck all their dumb bullshit with charities that they say they do and probably pocket the money. And fuck anybody who thinks it's a good deal. Bunch of fucking retards. That's all I'm getting at. We can move on.
Hooray!
Let's talk about movies.
Okay.
I watched It Follows on Halloween.
Yeah, how'd you like it?
It is creepy.
It's a horror movie.
It's not creepy. I mean, it is literally creeping consistently. I guess unsettling would be the word, because just knowing in the back of your mind that there's, like, a constant force moving towards you or towards your characters, even when there's downtime, it's intense, which is pretty cool. You were saying what you liked about it is that there's no, like, face to
Yeah.
the killer sort of thing. What I didn't like about it is that it is the most, like, cliche fucking, like, the ST demon bullshit ever. The sexually transmitted demon. It's one of those things that they would have made tales about in the 50s or whatever. To like keep kids from
like
premarital sex.
It's like actualizing a trope and like giving it an actual explanation or something.
I don't like that. I hate it.
Okay.
I like the conceit behind it. How it plays out is pretty cool. There's a few forms or whatever that it takes that are terrifying. And they're just people. They're just people. I don't know.
Scary too.
Like the tall dude. Holy fuck, that's
a good scare.
That is a creepy fucking part.
Yeah.
It never really reaches up past that, the rest of the movie, but
really.
like that's a punchy scare right there because it's so unsettling and disturbing. God, I hate it.
I mean, I also just like the thing of only a heroine and we can see this thing.
Yeah.
And like everyone that's around her is like sometimes not even threatened by it.
Yeah.
So that's just an interesting thing. Like it's a horror movie that doesn't have a face and it doesn't have a ton of kills, but it still works. Like that it works at all despite those things. I just think it's neat. Like, oh hey, a horror movie can do this and still be successful, even if it's still mostly just a normal horror movie. Like the parts that sort of annoyed me is like that the opening scene, the way it's shot, like feels like the director saying, "Look at me, I'm a director."
Sure, yeah.
It's like, you made a horror movie. Calm down, buddy.
Yeah.
I also think like the scene at the end at the pool is not that good.
Was that supposed to be scary or tense? Because it wasn't.
It just doesn't really work.
The only thing that shows is that like dude they hang out with is a real good shot. Like really fucking good. That is like the only thing that shows that whole scene.
I also like how that monster like kills people by fucking them to death. It's just funny.
Well, at least one of them. It doesn't really show.
The other one you apply, like her legs all bent over and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think that's
so dumb.
Decent horror movie.
Yeah,
like,
it has some good stuff in it.
If you're comparing it to like a Friday the 13th movie or something, like yeah, it works.
It actually works for the same reasons the first Friday the 13th movie works.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't really see who the killer is. It's just kind of like a force almost. Like it's a person, obviously, and they unmask her at the end.
Yeah.
But before the whole Jason thing, and like they made an icon.
That's the reason that movie works.
Yeah.
And I just like that this movie was confident enough in that working to not have to give the monster a particular face at the end.
Or
like
a name or something.
Yeah, it doesn't back off of that. Even if the ending climactic scene sort of isn't great, at least it doesn't sort of move away from what worked about it. It doesn't undo that work in like a way that would make it more marketable.
I'm trying to even remember how it ended. Oh, right, they're like walking.
Yeah, they're walking and there's like someone behind them and you don't know.
I mean, you do. Because it's not going to stop, but whatever. You don't know what happens, but you don't know if that's it
or if it's somewhere else.
Maybe you were it the whole time, because you are following them, watching them the whole time.
Maybe you're in front of them a lot of the time.
Maybe
Look, it's not Evil Dead. The camera isn't trying to kill them.
You don't know that. We are following them. It should be called We Follow. That could be the sequel.
We Follow? Yeah, it's going to be We Follow, WII. Just a Wii shows up in lots of places.
That'd be a great game, actually. It's basically Slender, only with a Wii.
Yeah.
Speaking of bad life choices, I saw Pixels.
You willfully chose to watch a Happy Madison movie. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I didn't choose to. It was
Okay.
playing on the TV, and then I said okay, and like left my computer and sat down to watch.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you want to know about that movie, if anything?
I feel like I know what I want to know already.
Like if it's
Like
good or bad?
like I've seen that. I saw that trailer too many times to ever be able to actually watch that movie myself.
What trailer? I didn't even ever see the trailer for it.
Yeah, because I go to a lot of movies, so I
Oh.
see trailers for comedies, like bad comedy trailers. Seeing them over and over again when I didn't laugh the first time, and they get worse and worse and worse. Pixels wasn't the worst for that. I think Grudge Match was really bad for that. The Grudge Match trailer played for like over half a year before that movie came out.
Did you go see it?
No. I feel like I've seen that movie. I've
Oh.
watched that. I've probably watched that trailer as many times as like the run length of that movie, if not more. And it wasn't funny once. Also, I hate Kevin Hart. Like every trailer
Yeah.
with Kevin Hart in it is not funny.
Yeah.
He's just not funny. And he keeps getting comedies, and I'm like, why?
Yeah. I don't particularly like him either,
There's
honestly.
that new movie with him and Ice Cube, the sequel, where they're like brother-in-laws now. And they're cops. And it, like, the trailer for that is structured the same way as like the 21 Jump Street movie trailers, which is just weird. But they're like, I don't find any of those movies funny. Those are the worst trailers to see over and over again.
How do you feel about Kevin James if you don't like Kevin Hart?
I've never seen anything with Kevin James in it that I liked.
Okay, I was gonna say if you didn't add the that I liked, I was gonna say how have you not seen anything with him in it? He's been in a shitload of stuff. What have you
I mostly
seen?
see him in terrible trailers.
Okay,
Like for that movie where he was a zookeeper, and they put in the trailer
yeah,
a joke about how great Fridays was.
okay,
It's like
yeah,
it was an advertisement for that restaurant within the trailer.
okay.
It wasn't even really a joke. It was just, is it as good as it seems? And he went, yeah. And then it shows them showing up to a gorilla. And then he shows them showing up at a Fridays. Like,
Because that one scene paid for that whole film, probably.
yeah. And they put it in the trailer. They put their product placement as the structure for their trailer.
That's why.
I hope they got a lot of money for that.
Yeah, that's why it
That's
paid
how
for
that
that whole
movie-
movie.
Yeah. So I saw that movie. I saw what was important to that movie.
What else have you seen? Paul Blart.
I mean, I've seen the trailers for Paul Blart movies a bunch. I don't know that I've ever watched a full. I don't think I've ever watched a movie he starred in.
How about Here Comes the Boom?
No,
Okay.
I don't know if I've ever gone out and I've ever actually watched a movie.
What about The King of Queens?
I've seen like part of an episode.
What about
a part
Hitch?
of a couple?
Have you seen Hitch?
I don't think I watched Hitch.
Okay. He's in a lot of shit.
He's
is
in a
what
lot
I'm
of
getting
shit,
at.
and none of it appeals to me, and none of it looks funny.
Okay, so you don't know how
It's-
you would feel if he was the president of the United States of America.
All his comedies rely on it. You finding it really funny that he's fat. And it's not that funny.
This
Like
one, okay, I will say, in this one's defense,
Okay.
it does not do that for him at
Okay.
all.
Okay. I've
Because there is
seen-
another fat character you can make fun of.
nice. All these kind of all these comedies are like fat people falling down.
Yeah.
Is the funniest thing. And it's just like I'm desensitized to it now. Where I'm like, you're just being mean.
All
Fuck you, movie. You're being
all
mean
happy-
to fat people.
all
I also
Happy
don't get how
Madison
fat
stuff
people
in
laugh at
general.
stuff. Like, isn't like most of your audience fat? Probably.
yeah, probably like
they're
for
just fucking
for a movie called
hateful.
Pixels,
Yeah.
especially. Well,
It just
Pixels was
feels-
PG-13.
Yes.
So,
But Happy Madison in particular always seems like really fucking hateful towards their audience.
oh,
Seems
they're
like
they're actually hateful towards everything. They will make fun of every little thing that they can.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're very hateful towards their audience. They're very particularly hateful towards women.
Yeah, this is completely the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I've seen enough Happy Bastard movies with Adam Sandler. Like, he always treats his wife like garbage in these movies. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Really bad. Really bad. It's not funny.
Even worse is he treats his audience watching the movie like garbage by making these things.
Definitely treats his audience like garbage. He's
So
on record as saying he only makes these movies for vacations. He like has no interest in comedies or making movies. He just likes getting paid vacations. Like he said that in
he
interviews.
has a lot of movies coming up too. Still,
Yeah. I mean, studios keep gonna give him money for.
So this movie is about a bunch of aliens waging war games on humans.
Plot of that, yeah, it's the plot of that Futurama movie, basically, isn't it? That Futurama episode.
It's actually based directly on a 3D animation project that a dude worked on for college or something.
Yeah.
And
but a lot of the stuff in the trailer, it's like, oh yeah, this is all specifically taken from one episode of Futurama where they had a bunch of video game characters invading Earth. Like even Donkey Kong was in that episode.
Yeah. This is more like what's happening is they saw tapes of a world championship or something in from an arcade from the 80s, like the aliens did, and they saw this as a war on their kind or war games or whatever. So they're going to destroy the planet if they win 3 out of 3 games, and humanity will win if they win 3 out of 3 or whatever. They attack out of nowhere, so they automatically just win 2 what they call rounds or whatever. The first one, they just send a bunch of Galaga spaceships or whatever to destroy an army base. Another time they're destroying the Taj Mahal. I can't even remember with what, because who fucking cares. And then the last time, that's when they decide to get the help of old arcade gamers to save the world, of which Adam Sandler is the best that ever was, of course.
Yeah.
Also, Peter Dinklage is in this, and that makes me actually hate him. I never want to see him in another thing ever again.
Well, he got taken out of Destiny, so if you play that, you won't have to hear him in that anymore. He was totally replaced by Nolan North in that game, which is hilarious.
As he should be. Kevin James is the president of the United States. And when the aliens start attacking, he calls his old arcade buddy to show him that these look like the Galaga things, instead of putting out a State of the Nation address to the people to maybe stay calm and not riot. Adam Sandler's a Geek Squad dude.
Yep.
Who goes to a kid's house to set up his PlayStation and home entertainment unit and stuff like that. And then decides he wants to fuck that kid's mom, and that is who he ends up with at the end of the film. Essentially.
Great. I'm pretty sure there's a movie where Adam Sandler fucks some kid's mom and then yells at the kid that he fucked his mom. I think that happened in a movie. Probably.
That might actually be a Kevin Smith movie. That might have happened in both, now that I think about it. There was one other thing. Qbert turns into a sexy lady for weird conspiracy fat dude.
Right. I did hear about that. The dude gets to fuck Qbert.
They weren't kidding. I actually hate that movie. The fact that it has 5.7 out of 10 shows that everybody on the internet is a fucking retard. First post on the message boards for this on IMDb. Does this really deserve merely a 5.6? Yes, it's corny. It has cliches, and Josh Gad is annoying, but it's not like there's no redeeming qualities. Visual effects are great. Peter Dinklage is great. Chris Columbus really adds a certain charm. Should be 6.3, 6.6.
That's hilarious.
And then the next person says, I give it 7 out of 10. These people should be taken out onto the streets like the dogs they are and put down. They don't know.
The most depressing thing I've heard about this movie is that kids really like it.
Of course kids like it, though. It's glowy, big video game things. And then Adam Sandler acting like an idiot.
Yeah.
So it has everything in it to be like the movie that kids want to see for like a spectacle thing.
I just wish that the thing that kids were liking wasn't such a hateful thing.
Like, we shouldn't hate what kids like. Is that what you're saying?
No, that the things kids like shouldn't hate them.
Okay. Yeah. Also, Happy Madison has a bad habit of just, like, wasting a shitload of money for their movie on, like, acquiring licenses for songs that they think are cool.
Great.
Like, for one scene that's like the flashback scene of them as kids when they're in like the arcade championship thing or whatever. Queen's "We Are the Champions" is just playing because they have money. So why don't we get that song that everybody knows? Like
Happy Madison having money. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not happy about them making movies, but if they're gonna make movies on the cheap that make just money for them to keep going that I never have to watch,
yeah.
like whatever, like they just keep making grown-up sequels for fucking ever or whatever. But
Well, I mean, I would prefer that they don't do that either.
yeah, I know, but I would rather. What the problem with Pixels is, like, then they got this budget to make this video game movie. Like, how did that happen? Who thought that was a good? What fucking dumbass studio execs that had the right to these video game characters allowed Happy Madison to make this movie? The fuck.
Also, Serena Williams and Martha Stewart make a cameo in it, so like they got paid trucks of money. Like "Surrender" by Cheap Trick is just like the opening song because why not?
Yeah.
80s.
80s. Sure.
Okay, this message board comment makes me happy, or forum post. It's entitled, "Ye gods, why is the rating going up?" He's like, when it was 5.5, it was perfectly appropriate rating, reflecting exactly how I felt about this movie, mediocre, or whatever. And it's like, why is it going up? Do people now think it's great?
So
it should be like a
Navarro
2.
and Austin Walker of Giant Bomb went to see Pixels on Austin Walker's birthday.
Yeah.
Did a podcast on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it on Giant Bomb?
Yes.
Okay, I
It's
have
in
to hear
their-
this.
I think it's in their Presents feed. I think that's where it is.
Yeah, okay. That's kind of where just their random bullshit goes, so.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
And that's where they put interviews and stuff. actually
Presents.
Put a
Okay.
bunch of stuff there recently.
Giant Bomb presents a chat with Jonathan Blow. Okay, that's not it, obviously.
No, this was a while ago. So
Oh, man. I'm never going to find... I have to look for it later. That movie is terrible, and I actually hate you if you go and pay money to see it.
well, I didn't see it, so
I saw it for free, at least.
there was I think, like, after it was out in theaters, there was still a giant, like, billboard ad for it on near the theaters at Times Square. Like,
Well,
long
yeah, of
after it
course.
should've-
It takes place in New York for one of the biggest parts in that movie. Of course.
Yeah, but, like, the movie was, like, only playing there at that point. It was
Oh.
weird. Like, I don't, like, I was
Happy
skeptical
Madison
the movie was
probably
even
rented
playing
out that whole theater for like a year.
there. No, that theater is, like, way too big and visited for them
I don't
to
think you understand how much money they have. It's all that Grown Ups 2 money.
That movie didn't. It's not like that movie made a lot of money. It just costs so little to make those movies.
Right,
They make
so
a lot of. It's like how the Friday the 13th movies always kept making more and more money, even though they because they cost fucking nothing.
right, that's why it's more money, because it's profit money.
Yeah, it's all profit. It's not profit if you spend all that money on advertising.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay,
That's why it
please,
just seemed dumb. It's like this is totally out of their wheelhouse. This big budget thing with advertising. What? Why would you do that?
please
That's
tell
not your
me,
corner.
please tell me the new James Bond is good. Get us out of this sinkhole of pixels.
It's okay.
Oh fuck. Okay.
It's like the Dark Knight Rises of the Daniel Craig James Bond movies.
I mean that makes a lot of sense, but okay, go on.
So my bigger issue is I enjoyed it okay, but coming out of it I only had nitpicks. Like I don't know what I can say positive about it. Uh, it looks okay, but it doesn't look as good as Skyfall. Like for one, it has to compete with Skyfall sort of in your mind, and it's not as good. So that hurts it. The villain is like trying to take who's Blofeld, the classic James Bond villain, but he's trying to take credit for everything that's happened in the previous Daniel Craig movies, and it's like, what? How were you? There was a villain in Skyfall. Like he had personality. You can't just take all the credit for everything he did. It feels
Yeah.
like what it feels like is like Norman Osborn taking credit for everything that Jackal did during the Spider-Man clone saga at the end of that thing,
Yeah.
or like which was positioned in the way they were using those characters to be like Lex Luthor taking credit for everything the Joker did. It's like you can say you took credit for it, but fuck off. Like, you're not that important. You're like sitting in a cave with like spying on people, like whatever.
Yeah, that sounds lame.
Yeah, it's dumb. They also like weirdly contrive him to be like have been James Bond's brother. It's weird. It's very like another Batman comic, Heart of Hush, kind of. Except I like that comic. It's just not that much. It's not as much fun as it should be because it's sort of taking itself too seriously, even though it's really dumb. Like it very
Is it
much
funny?
like like there is a part where James Bond like slips off an edge, like falls off at a collapsed building and lands on a couch and then runs away. Like it's just dumb
Okay.
funny, and like Blofeld is such a ridiculous villain. He feels like he was pulled out of an older James Bond movie, like a 70s James Bond movie, like a bad James Bond movie, even though he's Christoph Waltz like acts fine, but he still feels much more like classic Bond. Bautista plays like his big henchman guy who fights Bond, and he
Okay.
feels like a classic Bond villain henchman guy who just like stabs out a dude's eyes to introduce himself and is just big and mean and talks very little, just trying to murder Bond. There are a lot of just like too cute, like there are just too many references to other Bond things. Like weirdly, like there's a train in this movie that's modeled after the train from the GoldenEye video game. Like not the
Okay.
train from the GoldenEye movie, because that train looked different than the one in the game. This one looks like the one in the game, kind of. It's weird.
So that's just canon now. The game one, I guess.
It's just in this movie. There's a train that looks like that kind of in here.
Okay.
Which is weird. Yeah, it's
All
and
right.
James Bond is Daniel Craig's James Bond is such an angry dude. There's like an appeal to that, but it also sort of makes the movie not as much fun as it should be.
I don't particularly find a lot of the Bond films fun, though. So I guess this is just another Bond film the way you're describing it. Some of them are good. This just sounds like one of the other ones that like I would probably watch once and be like, yeah, that was fine, and then never watch again.
Like, the big issue is it's too long. It takes too long to get to the ridiculous shit at the end. So when the ridiculous, silly shit is happening, it's kind of like, this
fucking
is all you
finally
got?
sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of.
So it
like,
sounds like a
the way,
Bond film.
like the way Casino Royale worked is all the ridiculous shit was up front, and then like the second half of it was slower and quieter and involved a lot of poker.
Right.
Like, when in retrospect on that movie, like, that movie just upfronted all its action, whereas this like saves all its plot big stuff for the end, kind of. It's just not great. Mission Impossible was the better Bond movie this year. Kingsman was a better Bond movie this year.
Good.
Those movies were more fun.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear that, actually. Bond needs to be taken down a peg. Those movies are way too popular for being mostly trash.
Also, the Bond song this year is done by Sam Smith, and it's total garbage. It's really bad. It's an awful song. It sounds
What's
like
your favorite Bond song?
I don't even know, man. I don't even know.
Okay.
I liked the Skyfall song, actually, a lot.
I do, too.
I don't know what my favorite is. I think the Paul
Live
McCartney
and Let
is
Die
really bad.
is really good.
The Paul McCartney one is really bad as a Bond song. Like, that just doesn't fit
It's
at
just
all.
a good song.
It doesn't fit as a Bond theme at all.
That's why I like it. Because Bond themes are terrible.
I think the Madonna one's really bad, too.
Which one was that one?
I don't even remember. I've listened to all of them and thought about this, but none of that is stuck with me at the moment. So I don't know. I also haven't seen a lot of Bond movies because
You're
I
not
generally
missing anything.
fall asleep to any of the ones that I would try to watch before the Pierce Brosnan ones. The only exception to that is Man with the Golden Gun, which is one of my favorite terrible movies. That movie is garbage and it's amazing.
The Die
Because it has
Another
Christopher
Day
Lee.
was Madonna.
Okay.
Do you remember it now? It was like electronic. It was like, to die another day. It was so bad. There's no way that Sam Smith could be worse than that one. That's
Just
pretty
sounds
bad.
like he's like a dude singing in the shower.
Okay.
It's like unself-aware, but not singing particularly great, and like with not any emotion behind it, and it just goes on and is really repetitive.
This site ranked the Bond theme songs from worst to best, and Die Another Day by Madonna is the worst.
Yeah,
Let's see what the actual best is for them. Dr. No, James Bond theme by John Barry and Orchestra and Monty Norman. So the standard James Bond theme.
Feels like cheating. But
Okay,
whatever.
the actual like licensed song thing that they rank best is Skyfall by Adele.
Okay. Sure. That song's pretty good. I enjoyed it.
There were some good songs actually. I forgot that Garbage did one of the themes. That's really good. Anyways, yeah, so Spectre sucks. Kind of.
Kinda, yeah. Look, I didn't hate it. It was like fine, but it's not gonna be in my top 10.
Do you already have a list started for your top 10?
I write down every movie I see, and I not that long ago rank them. I'll probably change it. Like, it's hard ranking these movies, and how I feel about them changes a lot. So like, I look back. I've actually been ranking my movies just for my own personal taste for a couple years now. I just decided one year, like as a New Year's resolution, I'm just gonna write down all the movies I see because I fucking forget everything I see. I was seeing a lot of movies. One year, I tried to write down every single movie I watched the entire year,
Including like things
including
on
old-
TV.
Yeah,
Okay.
and tried to rank those.
Yeah.
That became too much work for me to keep up with, though.
Yeah.
It was too emotionally stressful sometimes. It's like,
Yeah.
I like too many of these movies. When I'm like watching old movies I just like.
Do the same with video games?
Uh, a lot of times I haven't played enough in a year that I have a list of 10 I'm super in love with, but for the TDP survey, I've come up with a list for myself.
Oh,
And
nice.
just to when I listen to the Giant Bomb Game of the Year stuff and the TDP Game of the Year stuff, just like for my own, so I know where I'm at with stuff at the end of the year, just so I have a reference point. I like to do that.
That
in the
reminds me
past.
that TDP thing is going to be starting real soon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fuck.
I remember last year I filled it out and was like, fuck, I was like, all these games I haven't even played yet. That's why my actual lists ended up being different than what I submitted in a couple ways. Because I had like not touched Dragon Age at that point, which ended up being like top 3. Pretty sure. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure.
I don't remember either. That is
Pretty sure
something
it was
I could.
top 3 for me.
That is something I could actually look up.
I think Gods Will Be Watching was my number 2. I know what my number 1 was. That was WoW.
Yeah. Gods will be watching. Boy, you just like to throw your vote away, don't you? The one that nobody else played ever that year.
I love that game.
You're the
That
only
game-
person in the community that even knows what that game is, let alone
That-
has played it.
The fucking free browser version of that was in my top 10 list the year before. I love that thing.
It was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Whatever.
fine.
The year before was I cared about the community vote, which was Fire Emblem, and that won that year, so I felt okay about that.
Like, the way the community vote
Vote
goes
is
is
like
if there was a
Nintendo.
Nintendo game and you liked it, it's probably the game of the year for that year.
Yeah. Like wasn't it like Smash or something last year?
That's why I need anybody that listens to this right now to vote for PC games, for the love of God. Throw Nintendo off their stupid high horse. I have a list of 8 games. to
TDP
play.
fans like Nintendo games.
Yeah. Fuck them.
I like Nintendo games.
Well, fuck you too.
Nice.
Nintendo games are okay. It really just depends on the game at this point.
Yeah.
It's
But-
so you can't say that like this
Nintendo makes a
company's-
lot of games, and they make them for like every genre.
You know what? Comet has a point. Undertale's probably going to be the one to take
You're
it
right.
this year.
Actually, Undertale is going to win this year. Like that's not actually a question. I would be surprised if something other than Undertale won for how fucking fervent that fan base is.
I should almost say that when we do the survey, put Undertale will be eliminated immediately. So any game but Undertale, and see what people vote. I mean, that is going to be the winner, though.
Yeah.
That game was okay,
People love that thing.
except that ending. Dude, fuck that ending. I gotta still see the, like, quote-unquote full ending, or whatever.
The good ending, the full good ending.
Like, is that what it's called? It probably is.
No, it's probably like True Pacifist or something.
True pacifist. Yeah, actually, you know what? That sounds really familiar. I want to see what the community game of the year stuff was last year. Luckily, this is super easy to look at because we have it all here in a
Pretty
giant
sure
list.
Smash Brothers won. Because I think you guys combined 3DS and Wii U Smash Brothers too.
Yes, we did. You're right. So
That's odd.
I'm trying to see what the top non-Nintendo game was. Shovel Knight.
Shovel Knight. That makes sense.
And number 3. Just as a recap, listen to all these fucking Nintendo games on this top 10 list. Smash Bros, Mario Kart, like I'm going to count this, Bayonetta 2, Hyrule Warriors, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, and Kirby Triple Deluxe. That's fucking stupid.
One of those games was in my top 10.
That's 6 out of 10 from on one console/company. That's irritating. On the plus side, Binding of Isaac was actually on there. That was pretty good.
That game is also pretty popular.
Persona Q was on there somehow, too.
Well, I mean, that's on a Nintendo handheld.
Okay, how do you explain this? South Park, The Stick of Truth.
I mean...
I know, I know why. No, because
Oh.
certain people did LPs of it.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Like, people that the community follow. I don't mean certain people, like, I don't want to name them. I mean certain people, like, the people the community follow. And part of that, like, group. I know, it sounded like I was trying to be mysterious. It's like, no, I just meant that
It's not that mysterious.
No, I just meant that there was a contingent of people all within the same kind of, like, internet circle that did it. Yeah. Anyways. True Pacifist is considered the fandom name. What do people like in Undertale, Comet? Do they like the pacifist or do they like the genocide? Because whatever one they like, I'm going to say during the end of the year talks that the other one's the better way to go. Just to make sure I get enough people annoyed at me.
I mean, the True Pacifist is considered the correct ending. Because I think the other ending actually screws up your game save file.
Oh, good.
Like, if you do that ending and then do the True Pacifist ending, there's like a stinger at the end that, nope, this wasn't a happy ending. Because you fucked up. Because you sold your soul. So you don't have a soul.
Genocide for challenge. What makes killing things harder in that game? I wonder. Because isn't it just like that gauge that you just stop it in the middle? It's grinding and really hard bosses. What makes the bosses hard, though? Like, you have one attack. As opposed to, like, when you're having to dodge, like, 5 different ways that they can throw something at you.
They're probably just, like sponges, and you have to, like, grind out.
Oh, I see. So, bad gameplay. Gotcha.
Probably.
Gotcha.
I mean, I don't really know. That would be my assumption. That's what would make sense based on how that game works.
You're right. It would.
That would be no fun.
I was told I could honestly just, like, watch somebody play through that run if I wanted to.
At this point, probably. I mean, I think that's the way most people handle it, is they played through it and then watch other endings. Unless they're fucking crazy people who have to experience things over themselves because they're in love. They're just because it's a game they love. Whatever. People can do what they want with their time.
Like, watch Little Otik.
Yeah!
Back on track.
Movie is great. Everyone should watch that movie.
What's it even about again? I know you've told me before.
So, it's sort of... The basic thing is it's sort of Little Shop of Horrors.
Okay.
Except instead of like a dude running a plant shop, it was a couple who wanted to have a baby very much, but they're both infertile.
Yeah.
So the
they
husband
grew one or whatever, right?
He like digs up a stump and starts looking at it, and like everything he's been seeing has like looked like a baby. Like he's been having hallucinations where he like cuts open a watermelon and he sees a baby inside it. And then, like, has to close it because he's just fucking going crazy. So he starts seeing the stump as a baby, and he, like, carves it into a child. And then his wife, as soon as she sees it, she, like, takes it to another level and starts, like, dressing it. And then he's, like, he has to, like, talk her out of, like, just treating it like a normal child and going back to the city. So they concoct a plan where she, like, pretends to be pregnant so that then she can give birth to this thing.
God damn it.
There's all this other... So then, eventually, but once she does give birth to it, then it actually comes to life. and like you see a scene where the husband comes home to the cabin and he just sees her like breastfeeding it.
Okay.
Thing is like alive, and it has like the special effects are all like stop motion stuff.
Yeah. It's
Like
really
really,
unsettling.
really, yeah, it's like really unsettling. The guy who made it was really into stop motion and surrealism stuff. And then it gets meta because your perspective character really is this young girl who also lives in the same building as them, and she has a book of fairy tales, and one of the fairy tales is what this is the Swedish fairy tale this movie is based off of.
Is it called Little Otik?
It's Otekison, which like translates to Little Otik basically. It's like
Okay.
the same thing. But yeah, of so then and it's sort of like there's that like kids song about like a cat that like just keeps eating things. It's like and I'll eat and like lists all the things it's eaten and says and I'll eat you too. Mom. So it's a story like that where he like eats his parents
Is
and
that
then
Garfield?
no, I forget there's some kids song that I remember as a kid that has like the same
Okay.
structure as the story. So he like eats things and then eats like the villagers and then he eats more things. But then he comes to the old woman and her cabbage patch and he eats all the cabbages. But the old woman takes her hoe and chops them open and then everything spills out. But so at this apartment building, there's an old woman with a hoe who has a cabbage patch. So this little girl is like
Oh.
then like plotting how to keep Oteka-san from eating the cabbages, which involves feeding him people because he starts eating people. Like that happens. So
Sure.
there's like first he eats the cat, and they like come home and they just see like the cat skeleton, and they're like spending all their money on like buying like extreme amounts of food. And there's a big thing with like eating in this movie, where like the little kids family like they can't. The dad's like hardworking, but they can't afford meat. Like they never get to eat meat. They're just always eating these soups. There's this great scene where he's like has the soup and he just sees it as like rusty nails, and then they all like scatter and like disappear into it. And he's like poking at it, like looking for the nails, like weird surrealist stuff. So it's all like about perspective, and it has like good horror elements of like this fucking monster, like when it, like a social worker sends up because nobody's like seen their child and they just it's like she walks into the room and you just see the door smash and this giant thing like comes like with like a baby squeal comes out and you see blood splatter on the window. It's great.
Huh. All right
It's
then.
a great movie. This is a movie like my dad and I rented out of the porn section, like our local Hollywood video when I was a kid.
Oh, okay.
It was like just like discovered it without knowing what it was and was fucking blown away.
You can't do that anymore. That does not exist anymore.
No.
The internet ruins any sense of discovery.
Pretty much.
It's too bad, kind of. At the same time, it also helps you discover a lot of stuff you might like.
There's only one movie this guy made is on Netflix, but on streaming Netflix, there's the movie Alice, which is his version of Alice in Wonderland, is up streaming on Netflix for people to watch. And that is like a version of Alice in Wonderland where the white rabbit was like a taxidermied rabbit that like removes the nails from its feet and like empties out the sawdust from it before when it comes alive.
It's
It's like it's all like rotten meat and rusty nails. It's great. With like lots of animal skeletons. Because like it's Alice like falls asleep in her family's attic, so the whole world takes on like the relative appearance of stuff that was like lying around in the attic.
Awesome.
Unsettling and creepy.
Like Evil Dead?
Yeah. So I watched that. The recent Evil Dead, the Evil Dead remake thing,
I like that movie.
which I really like. I really like that movie. That's a good horror movie.
It is.
I love those effects. Those effects are fucking great.
I don't remember the effects specifically. I just kind of like how they made some like nods to the original stuff, but made it an actual like their own thing using the same premise
Yeah,
and
like
not silly.
yeah. So they take out the hero, but they like distribute the moments he had to the other characters to
Yeah.
keep you on your toes of like who's gonna make it out, who's gonna like survive. It's like unexpected, in though it's still using plot points. Like a character chops their own hand off, a character smashes like just their character. Both male characters are wearing blue shirts, so you don't know which one. Like one of them supposed to be Ash, because Ash wearing a blue shirt was like a thing.
Yeah.
It was a thing that the filmmakers came to hate because they like hated that color of shirt by the time Evil Army of Darkness came around. But they were like, "Fuck, we put it in a prophecy. We got to stick with it. Continuity."
In
We
the
care
remake, isn't there an Ash, but it's like the girl?
Well, she's the one who ends up like being
That
the hero character who wields
Yeah.
the chainsaw. Also, that scene where it rains blood, that's I fucking
yeah.
love that, and I love that end fight where like her. They're also play with stuff of lots of characters getting their hands all fucked up because it's like who's gonna be Ash to get their hand cut off, and when
Yeah.
she gets her hand cut off, fucking it's like a car lands on it and she has to like fucking pull it out. It's like you see
Oh,
the
yeah.
bone and shit tearing.
You're right.
Ah.
I remember that now. Yeah,
really
that's
like
really
it.
gross.
The movie is a really good gore show.
Yeah, it's good. I like it. I suggest people check it out, actually. That's it for movies.
Yep, that's all the movies I watched.
You want
I
to
don't know
talk
if I'm
about
gonna
Alabaster? I don't know
I
what
don't know
this
if I'm-
is.
I don't know if I'm going to see a movie this weekend. I know a friend talked about it, but it's like seeing Goosebumps or the Charlie Brown movie. It's like, I don't know that I want to do that.
Yeah.
So, Alabaster is another manga by Tezuka, guy who created Astro Boy,
Yeah.
and that thing I talked about in one of like our first podcasts about the girl who kept changing ages.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, so this is from his this is a manga from his like darker period where he was doing more adult stuff, and it's about a guy who gets invisible skin and then enacts revenge. Basically,
Is it pretty good?
it's pretty good.
Okay.
It was this was actually a Kickstarter thing. They've like this publisher that has the rights to his stuff was trying to kickstart getting a bunch of his works that were never Tezuka's works that were never published in English. Like kickstarted to get them just brought over and translated, and they've had like varying degrees of success with that. A lot of times, like they started out with like a big goal of getting it all translated, and like the amount of money to spend to get all of it was like just too much. The Kickstarter failed because they were too ambitious about it, and
That's really too bad.
they just had one for like this 3-volume thing that would like to buy in it was like $70 to get all of it, and that one also failed. Like they've reached for too much from individual things to get all the manga. They haven't hit their goal, but this one hit its goal. It was like it's a 2-volume thing. It was like $35 or something, which was fair. Also, this was just a more interesting story than some of the other stuff that they haven't brought over. It was like revenge tale about a dude with invisible skin. And it's all stud up about racism. The dude is like a really successful black actor who falls in love with this woman who's dating him, and when he asks her to marry him, she's like, "I'm not gonna marry you. I was just dating you because you're successful." It's like she's not gonna marry him because he's black. He gets pretty mad about that, and kind of goes.
That's probably
insane.
fair, though.
Yeah, but then he kind of becomes a murdering monster and goes crazy.
I see nothing wrong with this. Makes total sense.
Yeah, but like that's how it kicks off, and then basically in the first like issue, he gets his revenge. Like that's the story of that first issue, and then it goes on of him finding this other girl who can turn invisible and like wanting to become like a mentor. I haven't read that much further into it, but it keeps going along that thread of him trying to mentor someone. But yeah, it was good.
Cool.
It like looks really cool in terms of like action and stuff. Like for video people.
Oh yeah.
Just like invisible skin, man. It's like a machine that's like supposed to work like the Invisible Man movies, where it like makes you fully invisible. Like he meets this guy in prison who has an invisible hand or fingers, I think. But it turns out if you use the ray to make your entire living thing invisible, that kills you. So
okay.
So that turns out to be bad. So it winds up with invisible skin, which is like he hated his skin, like he came to hate the color of his skin. Just an interesting Japanese take on racism.
Yeah. Interesting. Really cool art style from what you showed too.
Yeah. I really like the art in it. It still has Tezuka's like classic cartooniness, but just like a whole different kind of story about it. Where usually what I've seen him did is stuff for kids, whereas this is more adult.
Cool. That all you've been doing? You're done?
There was just the roleplay stuff we did.
Oh, yeah. I didn't see that there was another page here. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did Apocalypse World. Unfortunately, we have to bow out this weekend, but that's because Yalaton is ending for the year. So it's not like we're not doing roleplay this weekend. It's just switching from one to another. That's way harder to schedule, so takes precedence over, like, everything.
Yeah.
And, I tried my hand at Call of Cthulhu.
Yep.
And that was interesting. That game is fun. It's really, really weird. I really like how it plays. It plays so unlike, like, the D&Ds and the fantasy archetype stuff.
Yeah, I like that your goal is to investigate stuff, but I didn't feel like a pressure to win, really. Just sort of like trying to figure out, but like also don't want to, like, my characters could die really easily. We could all die really easily. We're in over our heads. I like the feeling of just being completely in over your heads.
To be fair, I did grant him a little bit mercy. His character was dead. Like, just straight up.
Uh-huh.
Because that was a lot of damage he took from one of his own guys stabbing him in the chest.
That went bad.
Yeah.
The whole situation went bad.
That part is actually, like, meant to kind of, like, start showing some force and make them leave or die.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I think that it worked for sure.
Yeah.
If you get bad rolls there, like, I've watched a few people or groups, like, play it. It's a joke. But it worked out well for us. It was kind of tense how, like, it was going to work out. I didn't even know how I was going to make it work. Until, like, it's weird too, because with that, like, I know the basic premise of what's going to happen, when, and, like, where, what triggers it, but, like, the fact, like I said, I wasn't, like, the knife was going to stab him at some point, or somebody, anyway. And then when I asked Steven, like, are you gripping the knife? Or are you, like, just kind of holding it, sort of thing? He said, no, like, I'm holding it. And then made him roll for, like, a strength roll, or whatever. Like, he was gripping it so tightly that when it pulled him, so it looked to, like, the other members that, like, he just went crazy and stabbed a dude in the chest with a knife, a rusty knife. Like, it's fun to be able to just take, like, what's going on real time in the game and kind of make it look a certain way to the other characters.
Hmm.
That was
It's
fun.
also it's like fun to have like to be playing a role playing session where the there's tension on like you can't trust your other players even if like
Yeah.
you're all in it together just because shit could take control of them and shit can go bad and like the tension of that and I think it works for like just doing a session, a quick session kind of thing.
Yeah, like the pre-written
Yeah.
session thing. It was real nice to have just everything thrown together and just kind of work your way through it. I was going to be disappointed, to be honest with you, if nobody went up into that bedroom where the bed is.
Uh-huh.
Because, like, that's kind of like the kicking off point. Like, shit can get fucked up here. Because before that, it's just like, I think there's like a literal note in the thing where it's just like, do like spooky noises or do like just do weird things to make them uneasy. Like that is the first thing that's like, okay, now like this allows you to do something that'll really start like making them wonder what's gonna happen. That was fun.
I just like like random objects be just like certain ones are just fucked and evil. Like
Yeah, like the bed.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
just a fucking bed. Like honestly, like what it reminds me of is Evil Dead shit. Of like
Sure,
just
yeah.
shit is evil.
I
Why
mean,
is it evil? I as a person I don't fucking know. But like you see it and you're like that that shouldn't happen, but that happened. Fuck.
yeah. I like how the sanity meter works too, where like as you lose sanity, it's harder to keep it as well.
Yeah.
So you can just get into like this spiral where basically every time you roll for sanity, you're going insane over and over.
Also, like the thing where if you're smarter, it's more fucked for you when you see shit that shouldn't happen.
Yeah, the like inverse thing where you roll for sanity and like intelligence, or when what happens is you roll for sanity. If you fail by like 5 or whatever or more, you're temporarily or no, you lose 5 or more sanity in one fell swoop. You're temporarily insane, and then you have to roll an intelligence check, and like basically you're smart enough to know that your brain is breaking, that your mind is shattering before you. And that like just makes you temporarily insane. It's really good. It's a really good system how that works. It's a little bit weird learning how the D100 rolls work because it is completely different than how you think it would. You don't necessarily want a high number. In fact, you never want a high number
Yeah. Like
unless
that
like,
ends up once I like had my head around that, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense because that makes the percentage thing much more clear.
and that's why it's split up between the 50 and the 5 percent, because it's like the 5% or under is your crit essentially, and your 50% is your hard roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems like if you're really getting low rolls all the time, play Call of Cthulhu because then your low rolls are good.
But then it's also out of 100 instead out of like 6 or
Yeah,
10
it's
or
just a
20.
way to test your really what kind of luck you have. Do you actually have terrible luck, or do you have just good luck on low numbers?
It is, and it's
Really
a weird
dumb.
thing to train your brain from like seeing a high number and
Yeah,
just like being like, oh fuck, when you see like a 90.
yeah,
Unless you're rolling for insanity, then you want those high numbers.
yeah.
Apocalypse World continues to be pretty good. I feel a little bad that we're ditching out this Saturday because of how last session ended.
Yeah.
But I
It
mean,
has to be done. We gotta do Yalthon. That has to.
I
that
mean,
has to
like when did we schedule this session of Yalaton? It was like a month ago. Like Yalaton gets scheduled at least 1 or 2 months in advance, so it takes precedence. The Apocalypse World seems to be like at a moment's notice we could do it.
Yeah.
So I don't feel bad about it, but I do feel bad about it because I kind of don't want, like, I want the story arc we're on in there to end at least.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that point, it's like, yeah, your character died or whatever, and I'd be like, yeah, that's fair. I'll go play another game or something. Like, I just don't want to leave them hanging, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
They can do whatever with me that they want to after we're at a safe location or something. I think that is it, though. That's all we've been doing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you for listening, and we'll see you in... Well, we won't see you, but you'll hear us next time.
Bye.